Good evening, race fans, and welcome back once again to the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, proudly supported by SolarGuard Saint-Gobain. And we find ourselves tonight for round 7, racing in the heart of Mexico City at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. I'm sure I haven't rolled my R's enough, but we'll give it another shot later on, I'm sure. This is a very, very new circuit to iRacing, but it is a circuit that is steeped in history and challenge in the real world. From the long flowing straights to the tight and very technical stadium section, it is a track that rewards bravery and precision in equal measure, and absolutely will do so here tonight. Before we do go racing, we take a moment here with Simple Racing Broadcast to pause for Remembrance Day. It's a time to honour those who have served and sacrificed for their countries, both past and present, and also a moment to reflect on the cost of conflict itself. It's a reminder that while courage and sacrifice are to be remembered with pride, the tragedy of war remains one of humanity's greatest failures, lest we forget. With that perspective in mind, we turn our focus to the track where the competition remains fierce, and every round will bring us ever so slightly closer to crowning a champion here for Season 6. My name is Jared Cole. It's great to have you back with us, or indeed joining us for the first time here this evening. And I'm joined in the booth once again by TrackSpot TV's Isaac Fogarty. Isaac, great to have you back for some more Supercars action. And Mexico promises to be a very, very challenging round tonight.
Yes, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody tuning in at home. I'm very much looking forward to this round. It's absolutely going to be a challenging circuit, as you mentioned. It's relatively new to the iRacing scene, so this could be, for some drivers in here tonight, one of the first times they've ever turned a lap in a supercar at this circuit. I'm sure they've probably all got a bit of practice in throughout the week, but this will be probably one of the first times in racing conditions they've ever had to experience a circuit in supercar. So we're going to see a lot of challenges ahead for some of these drivers tonight, and we'll see the cream rise to the top, and the people that have put the work in and done the practice over the last week or so really shine and stand out tonight, because this is going to be a technical challenge, especially that last sector with how flowing and twisty-turny it is. That's the technical term, twisty-turny, I think.
Twisty-turny, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the technical term. So it's going to be a challenge for these drivers tonight. I'm looking forward to see them tackle it.
Yeah, and look, it is a very new track. We're racing tonight on the national circuit, which does count out just the last little, there's a little extension just off that bottom right-hand corner. If you're not familiar with it, definitely go take a look at the track. It adds a whole other challenge to it that I don't think is particularly necessary. This track is certainly going to be challenging enough. Before we do get underway with a bit of a rundown on what's involved, in case you haven't seen it, we'll take a look, as always, at our track preview with, of course, Simon Haynes getting into it for us in the SolarGuard Saint-Gobain car, and out he goes as he comes around the final turn onto the Recta Principale. This is a very, very long straight, plenty of time to get lots of speed up here, and a very, very heavy braking zone at the end of it with a sharp 90-degree corner. It's such a long straight, in fact, that I was expecting to almost be there by now, but it's only now that you jump onto the brakes, get it slowed right down and through this right-hander into the SS Moisés Solana. And I apologise massively to any Mexican fans out there who are just listening to me butcher the language right now as they come down onto the second of the big straights, the Recta Trancera. And you'll see just up here where we hit this right-hand turn, the track does continue off ahead for that little extension if you do go for the full circuit. But tonight we find ourselves taking this right-hand hairpin and into the S's. It's fast, it's flowing, and it's very, very hard to get it through here quickly in a Gen 3 supercar. As we see, Simon does a beautiful job before he makes his way through to the latter part of the S's. It's a long section. You actually run well off the track, as you see here. And we head onto this short straight, the Recta del Ovalo, which is in fact the one part of the oval layout of this track here in Mexico, and then into the Foro Sol. This is, of course, the stadium section, a very, very hard left hairpin, followed by an immediate hard right to get back out. Plenty of opportunity for error here. And then the final turn, the Peraltada, rather. I might get that the wrong way around every time. And that is a lap here at Mexico for this evening. It's a really, really tough track at the best of times, Isaac. And tonight we're going to see two very, very different approaches to this. We've got open qualifying going on right now. We'll go check out a little bit of the action there in a moment. But we've got a couple of different race approaches here tonight. Race 1 will be an all-out sprint, 12 laps around this circuit, followed by race 2, 40 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops, and a reverse top 5 grid just to cap it off. And of course, the usual fuel restriction of 60% in place. it's going to be a tale of two very different races tonight, I think.
Indeed, it's very much the sprint, the tyre saving, the fuel saving. It all goes out the window, and it's just hell for leather for 12 laps. And then, of course, as you said, 2 compulsory stops in that second race. So I'd suggest we will probably see not as much fuel saving as you might do in a normal 40-lap race if there was maybe 1 stop. But I still think even with 2 stops, we're going to see a lot of guys trying to manage the tyre, manage the stop to reduce the amount of time they have to spend in that pit lane, because it is a relatively long pit lane here in comparison to the circuit. So there's going to be a lot of transit time for these guys tonight, trundling up and down that lane. So that's something they're going to have to think about as well. The reverse top 5 as well, not a whole top 10 like I think we've seen in the past in this season so far. So only the top 5, which is a bit of a different challenge for some of these guys, because we've seen some guys, they have a mistake early on in race 1, they can move forward and then they get back to like sort of 10th place, 9th place, and they're at the front. Now, if you get back to 9th or 10th place, you're going to stay there for that second race. It's only the driver that's in 5th that's actually going to start on pole for that second race. So there's that added challenge as well for those drivers that maybe are a bit unfortunate in that first race and make a mistake or two.
And I'll draw everyone's attention, of course, to one of the other challenges that's a little bit harder to see when you do come into this Mexican circuit, and it is indeed the altitude that we're sitting up 2 kilometers and then some above sea level. Means that the air here is really, really thin compared to most of the tracks that these drivers are used to. What does that mean? If you thought a Gen 3 supercar had no downforce before, wait until you run it around the track at Mexico. There is no air, effectively, to push on these wings, and so very little downforce, much less braking grip available thanks to that downforce. The driver's going to have to be so careful here tonight.
They're going to have to be super careful. There is, as you said, not a lot of air here to push these cars down, and well, I'm sure there was a bit of altitude testing done when they first tested these Gen 3 supercars in real life. There's not a lot that's been done to combat, because in Australia there's not really a lot of high altitude circuit racing that they have to do. I think Bathurst is one of the highest altitudes they go to, and that's not really anywhere near as high as this. So this is going to be the challenge, especially through that back section. So many twists and turns. You saw in the lap preview we got earlier just how much is required to throw these cars in through that section to make them turn, and how early he was turning. He was turning in so early, sometimes I thought he was going to hit the tyre barrier, but because of the lack of air and the lack of downforce, it actually just sort of goes quite wide of the tyre barrier. So that's going to be something that these guys have to think about tonight. Once they get into the dirty air as well, that's even an added challenge as well, because they're sitting behind a car with no downforce, with even less downforce, because they're riding behind the rear wing of another car.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll be why tyre management tonight is going to be so crucial, particularly in that second race, because we know the supercar tyres don't have a lot of time before they start to turn a little bit, and given how much the drivers will be relying on mechanical grip tonight, I suspect that's going to prove pretty challenging, especially for race 2. Let's take a look at the championship standings before we do go and take a look at the qualifying action as they enter almost the second half of the 20-minute open qualifying session. Right now, Wayne Walker is brilliantly poised for what remains of this season. We've got 4 rounds, including tonight, left to run. I think I can still count. I've had problems with that over the last couple of weeks, but I'm on the money tonight, I'm sure. This will be round 7, then of course 8, 9 and 10 to come beyond that. Wayne Walker sitting reasonably comfortably, 106 points out in front at the moment, and barring a pretty massive turn of events, you'd find it hard at this point to see it being likely that anyone's going to catch him. But take a look at the battle for the rest of the championship podium. Matt Vanderkraan holds just a 20-point lead over Dean Logsdale and Mark Poynton, who are tied on 1,277 points apiece. Jamie Dyke only 40 points further back in 5th. I can see a huge amount of change coming in that group before the end of this season.
Oh, look, how they look now, that's not how they're going to look when we get to the end of
you can't imagine it being, can you?
December. No, absolutely not. There's no, I do not see any universe in which this stays exactly the same as it is now, because these cars, these tracks that we've got coming up, especially tonight, they're so challenging, and one small mistake, that's going to be so costly for these guys. So Matt Vanderkraan, he's going to have his head on a swivel tonight. He's going to be looking in his rearview mirror, because he is, it's very easy that he could be second here now and then leave tonight all the way down in even 7th place where Andrew Rushworth is.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, don't count out the rest of the field either. Luke Allen and Andrew Rushworth fighting it out, only 1 point the difference there. Jason Bent's probably about the only driver in the top 10, or that top 8 rather, that has much breathing room behind him. So he'll be focused firmly forward. Jim Caperonis, not too far back, but it is going to be a bit of an ask to pick up 140 points from this stage. Plenty more battles going on through the rest of the field. As you can see, Stephen Varga just on the cusp of that top 10, as is Damon Fisher. And then Clifton and Ustavar behind. Phil Manuel and Troy Sipple with Kenneth Latta and Rick Vigar behind them. Ryan Palmer sneaks into the top 20 with David Coleman and Mitch Wood behind. We'll take a look a little further back through the championship standings as well, just to give you an idea of just how many battles are going on right throughout the top 40 here. Andrew Johnston, Craig Schulz 10 points apart. Brad Hayes not too far behind that battle either. Alex Kiedis and Michael Whiting only 2 points apart. You've got Jamie McKnight only 3 points ahead of Connor Nixon, who's only 3 points ahead of James Hardy, who's only 3 points ahead of Ashley Hall, who's only 2 points ahead of David Logsdale. Like, there are some massively tight battles right throughout this championship, and none of these drivers, knowing them, is likely to sit back and just relax, knowing that they're going to end up somewhere in the standing. They're going to be fighting for every single position over the remaining rounds. We, of course, will try and concentrate across all of it, but trying to keep up with what's going on in a field of this size, as always, will no doubt be a challenge tonight, but I reckon we're up for it, Isaac.
Oh, look, I think, there's a lot of stories to follow tonight, but I definitely think if anyone's up to the task, it's yourself and Mike and myself sitting alongside you as well. So I think there's a lot of stories to follow, a lot of things to keep track of in this championship as we get towards the pointy end of the season. But qualifying now as we head down, and Wayne Walker, he's doing the job at the moment, the man that's leading the championship, sitting on provisional pole, just over Dean Logsdale. But there's a lot of stories for us to follow, and I think hopefully tonight we'll be able to cover pretty much all of them.
Yeah, look, that is the plan. There's still, 7 odd minutes left in this qualifying session, and I'm trying to get this right every single week. I'm pretty certain that tonight we'll have the setup where the drivers will actually get to finish their lap if they are out on a hot lap at the end of the 20 minutes. Now, that said, every time I think I've got it nailed, I've got it wrong. So we'll see how it plays out across the night. As always, virtually nothing in this. The top 15 separated by less than a second, and a whole bunch of drivers just outside 1 second difference from the leader. There is absolutely nothing in it as Dean Logsdale heads towards the line as well. He's not going to improve his time on this lap, but off for another attempt at it. He's actually, I take that back entirely. He has picked up a huge amount of time in just that last sector, it looks like, and that puts him up onto pole. So Wayne Walker, the position's almost reversed. And look, not hard to believe, there was only, about 12 hundredths of a second in it. Now it's reversed, 1300ths behind is Wayne Walker. Matt Vanderkraan, sitting in fourth, not a bad spot to be, but have a look at just how much of the track he's using there, although I suspect most of that was just getting out of the way, perhaps of another car, or just overrunning that corner exit a little. It is a really, really odd track. It's so flat, I think is one of the most challenging parts of it. It's kind of nice not having to worry too much about the elevation changes, Isaac, but one of the things with a track like this is it makes it very, very difficult to get any kind of gauge on just where the track goes up ahead of you.
Yeah, it's super difficult at a track like this. You're at high altitude. They're probably grateful, as you said, that it is a lack of elevation change. I think maybe they'd be grateful for it to go down a little bit at some parts of the track, not up. But with it being so flat, yeah, you sort of having to. Oh, that was very, very
David Coleman close. Just having a bit of fun out there by the look of things. Don't know quite what that was about, but sure, why not?
Yeah, almost at the expense of the car in front, which I believe was Joel Osterwald.
It was, and Osterwald's just decided to back right out of that for whatever reason. Can't imagine why.
No idea why, but no, I think that's, especially through this section, the first few times, you're really sort of trying to guess which way it goes and how much the corner is turning, because there's no real banking or indication of where it actually is going. So that is an added challenge. We see Matt Vanderkraan, Birds Racing comes towards the line. What is it going to be?
He's improved the first two sectors, so you'd have to think he's going to lift his time a little here.
Though. He lost a... Oh, no, he does. Okay, it said
improved just slightly.
But improved by about a tenth there. So that was still a strong lap from Matt Vanderkraan. He's still a tenth off pole. It's quite close, though, I'd say, between these guys at the moment. The top 14 cars separated by less than a second, and Andrew Rushworth and Chad Weiger just over a second away from that pole time of Dean Logsdale now, who has knocked off Wayne Walker.
Yeah, and look, we'll see if it remains that way. Walker's out on track at the moment. Dean Logsdale has already improved his first sector, so he's looking to increase that gap if he can. Maybe just finding a little bit of extra something here tonight, as we see Jamie Dyke heading for the line and off onto a hot lap now. He's best of 129.865. So a little bit of work to do, but not too far off potentially a front row start. Dean Logsdale he's on a mission. He hasn't improved his time with someone into the wall behind. One of the joys, of course, of sim racing is that doesn't really set you back too much in qualifying. You can just get back out there as Logsdale slides it out of that stadium section. It's such an odd track. Oh, and you can see just how difficult it is to keep control of that on the way out. It's not a change of car there. It's just that Logsdale has gone into the wall behind that corner, folks. So Wayne Walker just happened to be coming past at the time. Hasn't improved that time around, but he'll be on a hot lap now. And let's jump on board as we do go around this Mexico circuit with Wayne Walker sitting at about 268 kilometers an hour before he gets hard on the brakes to turn it in here. And you'll see him just arguing a little with the oversteer on the way out of these corners. He tries to get some power down. Got to go so close to those tyre barriers, and they're pretty intimidating. They're massive tyre barriers that do sit on the inside of each of those corners, but there's no mistake as to where you're meant to aim. So we get down the second straight, a slightly short one, and then this right-hand hairpin, again, getting very, very slow indeed, down into the 80k region before we start to make our way through the S's. And this is going to really challenge these cars tonight with a bit of temperature in the tyres. That back and forth, the constant shifting of that weight just exposes so many opportunities to just overstep it ever so slightly. And you have a look at the line you have to take here. That is actually the right line to be taking in these supercars, all the way out to the edge of the tarmac, even though the white line ends a long way before that. And then into this stadium section, this left-hander, it's caught me out so many times getting around Mexico when it was first released, having a bit of a play with the track. It is such a tight turn, and it really doesn't look it as you come in, but it just goes on forever.
Yeah, it's a very, very long corner, and you feel like you're in it for forever, even. And even this straight, like, I feel like this straight is super long. You're sitting there at full throttle for the better part of 30 seconds in these cars, and it just feels like it's. You just feel like, am I at the end yet? Am I there?
Goes and goes. Absolutely.
And you're waiting. You're like, surely I've missed the braking zone, but you haven't. And then you get there and you're, oh, well, hang on, no, that's where the braking zone is. And too late, you've gone past it because you were too busy wondering where the end of the straight was that you missed your braking zone. But these guys, they're all clued in. They've got their braking markers. They know exactly where they need to stop. And this is really a test for these guys because it's such a, as you said, it's such a long circuit. The corners are long, the straights are long. It's flat. So I wouldn't call it the most exciting circuit for a race car driver in the world. I'm sure these guys are still having fun out there with, throwing the cars over the curbs and getting to, just put them through their paces a little bit. But I think when you get onto a straight like this, especially in the race when you're in a little bit of a train here, it's just going to be one big long train of cars rolling down the front straight, and someone's going to have to try and break the toe. But as soon as you do, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to everybody behind who's still in that toe.
You see Dean Logsdale sets that purple sector, so we'll keep an eye on that as he gets close. Joel Lustovar looks to improve his time. Can he jump up from 13th? Not quite 1,000th of a second slower than Philo, but he'll stay in 13th for the moment. Let's see what Logsdale's got up the sleeve. One of the other things that people don't realise, of course, you come to this high altitude, you lose that downforce with the thin area, but you also lose power out of the engine. So I'm really interested to see tonight just what kind of a difference that could make to how effective the slipstream actually is. It's not particularly strong in these cars. See, I've got it wrong again. Honestly, Isaac, I give up. I don't know why, but iRacing just likes to mess with me. In any case, we are just about ready to go racing. I suspect that tonight what we might see is actually a little bit more of an effective draft because of that lack of power, you're really going to need to use that aero to try and get a little bit of extra pace down that straight, because you're just going to run out of oxygen for the car to actually push any harder. Let's take a look at the grid. Dean Logsdale and Wayne Walker line up alongside each other on row number 1 for our sprint race here tonight. Matt Vanderkraan and Jamie Dyke behind them. Then Sean Vandermeulen and Phil Manuel on row 3. Mark Poynton and Jason Bentz sit on row 4 ahead of Ken Ladder and Damon Fisher right behind them. That rounds out your top 10. Then Luke Orman and KFL are just missing out on that front 10, but still there on row number 6. Joel Esteval and Andrew Rushworth ahead of Ryan Palmer and Chad Vigar. Then Stephen Varga and Mick Clifton on row 9 ahead of Jim Capronis and James Hardy in 20th. Rick Vigar and David Coleman line up alongside each other with Craig Schulz and Troy Sipple behind them. Ashley Hall and Shane Cudby, then Brad Hayes and Andrew Johnston ahead of David Logsdale and Alex Kiedis. Tim Nicol and Brad Grant, your safety car pilots. Darren Walden, I don't believe, setting a time, so he'll actually start in 31st. The safety cars, unsurprisingly, won't be on the grid, and hopefully won't actually be needed tonight.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. But you know, I'm a big fan of the safety car and bunch the field back up, get everybody nice and close together. And what's the classic line? Safety cars bring safety cars, or safety cars breed safety cars, something like that. So I think it would be exciting if maybe later in the 40-lap race, when everyone's spread out a little bit, there's a late race safety car, we bring everybody back together and close it all back up again. But we can only hope, I think. So as long as it's an exciting race either way, I don't really mind. But
look,
I just want it to be exciting.
With 31 cars on track, I have no doubt we're going to get some interesting events here tonight. G'day, Mez. Welcome to the chat. Good to have you along with us, my friend. It is going to be a pretty interesting layout for us tonight. I don't really know. I don't quite know what to expect from it, honestly. I think excluding that little extension at the I want to say the southeastern corner, although it's only really, as we look at the map, I'm not sure how accurate the north point is there. But excluding that section does make for a very interesting change in how we're going to have to approach this as drivers, because those would have been some pretty epic corners to try and just throw a Gen 3 supercar up the inside. They're not going to have that opportunity, so they're going to have to really work for it at the few hard braking zones that we do have, namely the end of that Rector Principale main straight, and that long hairpin at the end of the Rector Transera, I think is going to be really, really tough, honestly, for any passing to happen there. But we're about to see how that looks as we get ready to go racing. We've got the green flag waved at the back of the field. All of the cars are on the grid, and we are under starters orders now as we wait for the lights to come up. Just a couple of last checks here, but we are about to go racing, folks. So hold on to your hats. I hope you are all set with a comfy chair at home and a drink of choice in hand. I think this one's about to get very, very interesting indeed. It's probably one of the longest straights we've seen for a start on any track, anywhere we've been this season. As the lights come up, Dean Logsdale will get underway in just a moment, and we are green and racing for this 12-lap sprint. Wayne Walker, a fantastic start. You can see already the field starting to spread out as they look for a way to get through here. As they charge on down this long straight. Walker's had a brilliant start as Logsdale looks to the inside, and plenty of drivers now will be looking for an opportunity to pick up an early spot under braking. It's going to be a very, very tricky opening corner, I'm sure, as we head on through this first little chicane, and we are still too wide through the entirety of the field just about, and then down this short straight. This is that right-hander, that long hairpin type corner. Look, I don't know if it's even tight enough to call it a hairpin, but have a look at Jamie Dyke moving up the inside of Matt Vanderkraan. He's looking for an early spot here, and it looks like he just might get it done, although Vanderkraan still has the inside run as we come back the other way and start the section that is, of course, affectionately known and officially known as the S's. The rest of the field just filtering through behind. Wayne Walker sends at high speed. These guys aren't waiting for any extra heat in the tyres. They want to get the most out of them early on that they possibly can, and Walker and Logsdale already starting to put a bit of a lead together. The field somehow cleanly getting through all of this as we come into this section. Oh, Matt Vanderkraan. Matt Vanderkraan is sideways. I don't know if he's actually going to survive that. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it might have been Sean Vandermeulen caught up in that as well. Vandermeulen's gone around, and he's going to have to try and get moving again. as the rest of the field carries on through. Not the ideal start, but a big moment there. Walker and Logsdale out in front. Jamie Dyke, look at the gap now between Jamie Dyke and the field behind as Matt Vanderkraan heads up Jason Bentz and Damon Fisher as we get racing properly. These guys are absolutely not waiting around for any longer than they absolutely need to. It's only a 12-lap race here to start us off, Isaac, and that is a pretty crazy way to get us started. I'm honestly a little surprised we didn't have more incidents on that opening lap.
Yeah, it's actually surprising that we got away with as much as we did. I would have thought one of these little tyre bundles there, someone would have gone side by side just a little bit too much, and there might have been a little bit of contact with one another, and maybe someone ended up in that tyre barrier. But they all gave each other relative respect and racing room there, which was really good to see. This is Ryan Palmer going side to side with Rick Vigar. Rick Vigar around the outside. That is a lovely move from himself on Ryan Palmer, just to try and move up. And now I think Chad Vigar fancies himself a go. So he's in a Vigar sandwich at the moment. He's the 80HT driver, and he is probably feeling the heat from those two Ford Mustangs at the moment. He's got one in front, one behind, looks to the outside, looks back to the inside. He's all over the circuit trying to find a way past, deep under braking. And I think he's got that move done. He does a little bit of smoke there. Someone's locked up in front. But Palmer now gets past. Oh, look at the background. I think that's someone around. They all scatter.
Oh, and behind.
Oh, more contact between the
just the tiniest of taps as well. That's Hardy that's facing the wrong way there as he tries to get it moving again. It's hard to say, but it looks like maybe a little bit of damage to that rear left. And you've got that Mick Clifton who's still sitting there waiting for the rest of the traffic to come through. That might bring on a safety car, but I think it won't, given that everyone's gotten away pretty cleanly. Makes no difference to this pack up the front, as Matt Vanderkraan has been passed by Jason Bentz in amongst all of that. He's got Damon Fisher, Ken Ladder and Mark Poynton right on his tail. But these guys have a long way down the track. You can see off in the distance Jamie Dyke's tail lights as he gets on the brakes for the U-turn there. But Wayne Walker, and for that matter Dean Logsdale, are well off into the distance at this point.
Yeah, and I think that incident stemmed from some contact with one of the other Quantum cars, so there may have been a bit of maybe something to sort out when we get back to the team truck later on. A few conversations being had between the Quantum drivers. That's another driver just lost that all on his own, did actually haul. That's a huge moment to have all by yourself on the exit of the hairpin.
Head down the wall though.
The car just sort of, he did off. I think there might have been, I think there was a little bit of contact with the wall, but maybe he did keep it out. Oh, deep under brakes from Ryan Palmer on Jim Capronis, and there's a little bit of side-to-side contact. Sends Jim super wide, and I think he's got that move done, but that was a very late braking, aggressive move from Ryan Palmer. He's trying to get the gloves off here early to make up some positions.
And this is one of the things about this circuit. They're going to have to throw moves like that because there aren't a bunch of opportunities and only 12 laps to try and get this done. As we see now, Damon Fisher and Ken Ladder will be side by side as we come down towards the back section of this, or the back of the front straight, end of the front straight. Tell you what, Isaac, it's going to be one of those nights tonight, I reckon. There's a lot to keep an eye on here. Fisher's going to go up the inside, careful not to make contact there with Ladder. Has to pull out of it. That's going to cost him a spot to Mark Poynton, who comes on through. Now Luke Allman, his teammate, will be right there with him as well. But Poynton's going to actually come out ahead of this, and Fisher's just put himself in a really, really awkward spot and gives up a position in that one. Alex Kiedis has had a bit of a moment in the background. And I don't know if there's contact leading into that, but a big slide and immediately back in front of Shane Cudby. So whether there was contact before that, I'm not sure. We might take it back just a little bit further. Have a look at Kiedis as he comes diving up the inside here. Now, is it just... Oh, he's blowing the motor. On the downshift, he's blowing the motor.
Engine's gone.
That is done. Oh, he has. He absolutely has. So not what he would have been hoping for. The question is, will he get towed out of there? Is he in a safe spot? I don't think we'll need a safety car to remove him from the track, so should be broadly okay, but that's really, really disappointing for Kiedis, and not the first time we've seen it, certainly won't be the last time, I'm sure, as this rather significant little pack here behind Ken Ladder continues to battle on. We've got another one just a little further back behind Ryan Palmer, although they're a little further spread out. Take a look at the damage on David Coleman. He's already been rubbing panels right from the get-go here tonight. And further back again, Phil Manuel finds himself just tucked in behind Caofillo at the moment as they come down the main straight. Let's see just how much of a difference this bit of draft can make. It does look to actually help quite a bit, as we've seen. Look, you can see Manuel's just got a bit of a hint of an opportunity up inside. Philo slides it, locks it up, just barely keeps it straight, but that's going to allow Manuel through. Really, really good race control there from the wee race entry to make sure that he actually stayed in it while not actually going into the opposing driver. Brilliantly handled, and he will continue on as the battles just continue right up and down through the pack here. Chad Vigar is trying to hold off Joel Osterwald at the moment. You can see Vigar's carrying quite a bit of damage from some of those earlier incidents, and Osterwald looking to make the absolute most of it that he can, because he's looking fairly clean comparatively, although he's got a little bit of a nudge there on the front left. Plenty of door banging action tonight, Isaac, and I don't think you'd expect anything else, honestly, from V8 Supercar Racing. G'day Sideways, welcome on into the chat. Good to have you. Look, I don't know about placing bets on it, but you know, maybe there's a market for it. I might have to open up a bookie as well. Why not?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to open our own betting agency as a result, because I don't think Sportsbet are giving us odds on this stuff. So I think we need to. Someone's got to get on it. There's a lot of money to be made here, I think, in how these guys are racing at the moment. But it is super exciting. I saw earlier a note from the stewards. There was no further action between Cam Ladder and Phil Manuel for the first lap of the race. So something happened between the two of them, which possibly could have been what led to all that contact between and what was eventually did happen to Sean van der Molen. So that could have been the catalyst for that incident earlier on. And I'm sure there's a couple other incidents that stewards are currently scratching their heads over, getting a little bit of headache. I can see Alex Kiedis is back out there, so he's used his fast repair and he's back out, albeit a minute and 29 seconds down. So he's basically a lap down at this stage. Will not be too far behind or in front of Wayne Walker. I'd suggest he won't be far off being lapped, but it's good that he's able to get that fast repair done, get back out there. Hopefully he doesn't blow another motor, because that would be a shame to do two motors in one race. But we're already 6 laps into this race. We're almost at the halfway point. Time's flying in this. It is the true definition of a sprint race, isn't it? As you see someone taking the long way onto their run. Rick Fiker.
A little bit off to the side there.
He's taken the that's the long way they have to take in Formula One.
He's carrying some big damage. Have a look at that front left. I don't think that's actually. I reckon he's snapped a control arm or something.
So look at the amount of understeer he had in that corner. That front left is not spinning.
That is
really
not
at all.
That is not the optimal angle. Not the optimal angle.
Sitting at that is some very aggressive toe on that front left. The wheel is also not rotating with the other one, so that tells me that it's disconnected completely from that front axle. So that is not good for Rick Vigar. And I'm just wondering, what has actually caused that for him to have that level of damage? Because that's quite a lot of damage for if he made side-to-side contact with another car. So he must have hit a wall or a tyre barrier somewhere.
Now, interestingly, nothing showing up at the moment in terms of him going into the fence anywhere. So if he's hit it, it hasn't slowed him down. It suggests to me that he's just glanced off it somewhere. I'm going to take a look and see if we can find anything at all. To kind of give us an idea of what might have happened there, but I don't know how lucky we're going to be, because it's like it's just come out of nowhere for Vigar. We might get lucky though. You never know. Just having a look at the moment through the background here as we watch this battle for 15th. The black flag now for Jim Caperonis. Now, whether that is I don't think it's been issued by race control by the look of things, although we might get there we go. There's the update. I stand corrected. Drive-through penalty for Jim Caperonis for the contact earlier with Stephen Varga. So yeah, there's plenty to keep an eye on here. Of course, we might see if we can pick something up here as we go just back a little bit further and see if we can figure out what's happened to Rick Vigar. It looks as though he's already got the damage at that point. Have a look at that front left. I think he's gotten to that corner and realised, hang on, there's something very wrong here, and that's why he's taken that exit. We might let's take it back just a little bit further and see what's happened, because I can't be sure, but I suspect he's hit just tap something, maybe even this tyre barrier.
It's got to be this tyre barrier.
No.
Ooh, no, I've only got away with it.
So this is the thing, there's not much you can hit here. It's got to be just up the road here as he gets into this braking section through this right-hander. And we'll see, I'm sure, in just a moment exactly what's happened. As he comes through pretty cleanly, all intact here, nothing to worry about at this stage. Oh, it's this tyre barrier, isn't it? There you go.
It's got to be this tyre barrier. Oh!
Just tried to cut it that little bit too fine.
And just torn the corner off it. Yeah, that is huge contact. And that's what I was talking about. We see a battle here with Cal Filmo and Troy Sipple. And I believe that's Stephen Varga at the front of this.
It is
little
indeed.
Pack. But that's what you have to be careful about. This barrier just here. It's at such an awkward angle. Look how close they get to it. Almost like a concrete wall on a street circuit. The closer you are to it, the faster and the better you'll be able to take the next corner. But if you get too close like Rick Vigard did, that is going to absolutely tear the front left corner off your car. So as that is Cal Filmo going up the inside. It's a very tight hairpin that he has to come back through. He's still side by side with Stephen Varga as they come towards the final corner.
Stipple's going to go through.
Now Stipple's going to go
wide.
through.
Osterval picks up a spot as well.
Osterval as well. So Cal Filmo, he's made a little bit of a mistake. He's run wide, caught on that outside line, and now he pays the price, losing 2 spots while trying to go for 1.
And on top of that, he's just picked up a drive-through penalty for an earlier collision with, I believe it was Craig Schulz. So I don't know quite where that's happened, but it has happened, and unfortunately, it means that Philo will effectively be out of this one. We're on lap 9 of 12. Out in front, Wayne Walker holding a pretty commanding little gap at the moment ahead of Dean Logsdale, but 5.5 seconds back to Jamie Dyke is massive. We'll jump forward to Jason Bentz. He hasn't managed to shake anybody from this group. Matt Vanderkrant's still right there on his tail, as is Ladder, Point and Fisher. Look at him slide it on in to that stadium entry. Really just throwing these cars around. They know they don't have to be particularly kind. Tim Lawson calling out in the chat, you know, are we going to find out how significant the tyre wear is in the last 3 laps here? Honestly, I'm actually a little surprised at how quick these laps still are. The best time for Wayne Walker, a 1:30 dead. He's running a 1:30.86 on his last lap. So there's very, very little fall off so far. I mean, look, 0.8 is not a small gap in pace, but you know, we're certainly not seeing seconds off it, which says to me that these long straights are actually really handy in just keeping the temps down and keeping the tyres in good shape. As long as they're not throwing them too hard into some of these corners, they should get pretty good life out of them, you'd think.
Yeah, you certainly think that, there'd be pretty decent tyre life out of these, especially around here. Maybe the high altitude, the temperatures don't get as high, but I also could stand to be corrected. And I think with the times we're seeing, though, here 33s, 31s, 34s, they're all over the place. I guess it just depends where you're running in the pack as well, what the pace is. But we're seeing some pretty good times. If I check, the fastest lap of the race is a 1:29.9 by Wayne Walker, and we were seeing, I think, relatively similar times in qualifying, maybe a 1:29, 1:28 even in qualifying. So we're actually not that far off the pace that we saw. So this sprint race especially has been good for going as hard and fast as they can. We've got 2 laps to go at the end of this one, and Stephen Varga is sitting in 16th place at the moment. Joel Osterwald, though, he is through on Stephen Varga. He's up to 15th place, and he's got 6 seconds to Chad Varga up the road, which I think is a big ask with this time to go. But I'm just seeing how many spots is he up in this race. Well, he's actually down 2 spots, so that earlier incident I think he must have had has cost him a bit. But Jason Bentz, he's up 4 spots. Andrew Rushworth, Ryan Palmer up 4 spots. David Coleman in 12th place, up 10 spots so far in this race. It's a huge effort.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Coleman's qualifying has been pretty average, to say the least, for the last few rounds, but he certainly makes up for it once he gets out on track, doesn't waste any time at all. I've got to wonder if he just uses those qualifying sessions to just test out different lines and different possibilities rather than trying to set a particularly quick time for the start. It's hard to fathom that someone can so consistently qualify further back in the field and yet continue to move up double digits in the space of 12 laps. That is absolutely massive. Sure, he's probably benefited from a few of those early incidents taking people out ahead of him, but all the same, it's definitely working in his favour at the moment as we see Van der Kraan doing everything he can to close that gap to Benz. The two of these drivers very, very evenly matched, not able to find a great deal anywhere really, but this is perhaps an opportunity for Van der Kraan as he gets close in behind Benz. He's going to have to get the drive out of this stadium section if he wants to stick with him down the straight, but he's set up really, really nicely for perhaps an opportunity into turn one as they start the final lap. The white flag is out, so this will be Van der Kraan's last chance to get this done. Wayne Walker out in front, looking very, very comfortable indeed. Dean Logsdale not too far behind him, but then Jamie Dyke, look at the gap. Here comes Jamie Dyke through turn one, and then Jason Benz and Matt Van der Kraan. Van der Kraan has a massive look up the inside. He's not quite there yet, but he's certainly going to think about it. He's only got a couple of opportunities left. Benz just needs to hold his line, hold his form, and hold his nerve in order to finish here in fourth. Van der Kraan's not going to be upset about 50. He does end up there. It means he'll be on pole for race number 2, but he can taste an extra couple of points here. If he can just get past Jason at this stage, I reckon he's got a real shot at it. There's not a lot of time left, though. I don't know where he's going to get it done at this point.
No, and for the man that's sitting in a really strong position in this championship, to be honest, every single point matters. I know, as you said, if he finishes where he is now, he gets pole for the next race, but I don't think he'll be thinking about that at all. He'll be thinking about, I want as many championship points as I possibly can. Dean Logsdale is in second up the road, and he's one of my key championship rivals. I don't want to lose too many points to him and come out of here with a deficit that I've got to try and make up. He wants to reduce that risk as much as possible through this final section now. I think we're going to get Wayne Walker crossing the line very soon, but the battle is going to rage on for Jason Benz and Matt Van der Kraan. Wayne Walker will cross the line to win the sprint race with Dean Logsdale in second. Jamie Dyke in a very comfortable third position. There he is. Look at that gap between Jamie Dyke and there we go. Jason Benz will hold on to finish in fourth place over Matt Van der Kraan, Ken Latta and Mark Poynton not too far behind, and then Damon Fisher, Luke Ullman and Ryan Palmer does get into the top 10. He finishes in 10th place, which is a huge effort. David Coleman up to 11th in this race, so he's gained 11 spots.
As it continues, Andrew Rushworth just holding off Chad Varga here. Varga's got great drive out of the corner. It's not quite going to be enough as they race all the way to the line. Nothing in it at the end, less than 2/10 between them. About the last battle left on track, Ashley Hall leads Craig Schulz to the line. Craig's not quite going to get there, and we'll wait now, of course, for the rest of the field to filter on through. Philo's got that black flag still hanging over his head. Now, this is an interesting one because if he doesn't clear it here, and I don't know that he can even clear it here. I think this is going to end up with a pretty significant time penalty. So have a look at it now. Finishing in 24th at the moment, but when we see the final results, I suspect we're going to see a very, very different story for KO as we cut to the race results. Let's take a look. Let's see what we've got. It's been a very, very, very fast opening race there. Only 12 laps. Wayne Walker, though, really did manage to reel in Dean Logsdale pretty quickly and then step out in front. 2.5 seconds almost the gap there to Logsdale. Jamie Dyke in third, a huge gap between himself and Logsdale, then a similarly sized gap back to Jason Benz, with Matt Van der Kraan, Ken Latta, Mark Point and Damon Fisher all pretty close behind. Luke Ullman and Ryan Palmer sneaking into the top 10 as well, with David Coleman just outside. Phil Manuel and Andrew Rushworth behind them. Chad Varga and Joel Osterwald, then Varga, Sippel and Hall ahead of Schulz and Brad Hayes. As we take a look just a little further back, Mick Clifton and Andrew Johnston, then James Hardy and Shane Cudby. I think Philo getting very, very lucky that there were so many drivers so far back, because he's copped a pretty massive time penalty there. I think it's about 30 or 40 seconds that you end up catching there. And so that has dropped him all the way back. In fact, it'd have to be 30, 40 seconds, the penalty. He would have been 1 minute and 8 behind the lead to come home ahead of Cudby, but the extra 40 seconds has dropped him back to 25th. And it's only that extra lap that Vigar, Logsdale, Kiedis, etc. were back that has kept Philo that far up the leaderboard. He could have fallen a lot further back, so I think he's got to be reasonably happy with that, considering what could have been.
I think he's definitely got away with a slap on the wrist, really, in the grand scheme of things. 40 seconds and you've lost one spot. So he won't be too disappointed about that. That's only 2 points really that he's lost in the grand scheme of things for not serving the drive-through, whereas maybe he would have only lost one spot if he did serve the drive-through. Who knows? But I think that's definitely got away with a slap on the wrist. 5-second penalty as well for car 451 for flashing. So that's a car that's Van der Molen that's gotten himself a 5-second penalty. Just for fun, for flashing.
Look, I sincerely hope that they mean flashing his headlights. That's all I'm going to say. And we will look if Sean is in his usual race suit, we'll bring his camera up a little later. Isaac, you haven't had the pleasure just yet, but we'll go and check that out shortly. It's time for us to take a very, very quick break as the drivers get through their mid-race warm-up session. We'll be back in just a moment to take you through 40 laps here of Mexico as we see a 30-second penalty issued for car number 4. That is Shane Cudby for that major incident on lap 5. An interesting one. We must have missed that. There's a few more penalties floating on through as well. We will be right back after this quick break.
Providing the best for your family means a healthy, secure, and comfortable environment. But the daily risks your family faces are often invisible. Solar Guard performance films protect what matters most to you. While you're concentrating on the task at hand, we're protecting your family from uncomfortable solar heat, harmful UV light, and glare. Our window films and protective coatings are designed with decades of technical expertise and provide a vision towards the future. Solar Guard provides added protection to the places where they're needed most, creating invisible barriers for increased security. The people of Solar Guard design carbon-negative solutions that can help reduce energy costs and improve comfort. Allow us to tackle the invisible challenges so you can focus on the important things in life. What matters most to you? We're on it. Saint-Gobain, Solar Guard.
Well, welcome back, folks. We hope you've gone and refilled your drink if you need to, gotten another comfy pillow or whatever the case may be. Welcome on back to the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, proudly supported by Solar Guard Saint-Gobain, and we are just about ready to get gridded up for race number 2 here. A couple of things to note. The track temp has dropped massively, down from 33 degrees to 20 degrees, which is going to make for some much quicker times and some much healthier tyres as we get through this second race. Otherwise, not a lot has changed, except, of course, that we're now going for 40 laps instead of 12. We've got 2 compulsory pit stops and a reversed top 5. So we'll have to see what actually comes around here, Isaac. I'm really keen to see what lies in store here, because that sprint race shows us that it's not going to be quite as clear cut as perhaps we were expecting in this second race. I think that draft is going to play a much bigger part than perhaps we even anticipated down that main straight.
Yeah, I definitely think we didn't really think the draft was going to be that much of a... Well, I certainly didn't think the draft was going to be that much of an impact on the player in this, especially at the high altitude. But apparently it's proving to be quite the catalyst, and we're seeing a few drivers take advantage of that, even on the smaller back straights. So it's actually been quite exciting as we now head over to the grid here, and I think this is a very exciting top 5 with the reverse. I'm really looking forward to how this race is going to go.
Still 5 very, very quick names. Van der Kraan has the advantage of pole with Jason Bentz alongside him. Then Jamie Dyke and Dean Logsdale. Watch for Wayne Walker off the start, though. He hit an absolute cracker in race 1. Look for him to do it again. He's got those launches down, and Ken Latter alongside is no slouch either. The rest of the field will start as they finish. Mark Point and Damon Fisher ahead of Luke Orman, and Ryan Palmer still there in the top 10. David Coleman and Phil Manuel, then Andrew Rushworth and Chad Vigar line up ahead of Joel Usterval and Stephen Varga, with Troy Sipple and Ashley Hall on row 9. Craig Schulz and Brad Hayes rounding out your top 20. Mick Clifton and Andrew Johnston line up ahead of James Hardy and Shane Cudby, then Kao Fillo and Rick Vigar alongside each other. David Logsdale and Alcides behind them. Jim Caparonis and Sean Vandermeulen rounding out the top 30. Darren Walden will start from 31st. Tim Nicol and Brad Grant not coming into play in the safety car in race number 1. There's still time. I reckon we got pretty close with, particularly with that blown motor for Alex Kiedis, I believe it was. He was just lucky to slide off the track, honestly, and not block it up at that point, and we would have absolutely seen a safety car for that. Thank you so much, Sideways. I appreciate the compliment, mate. We do try and put on a pretty decent show if we can. It does help that we've got some of the best V8 supercar drivers in the iRacing world right here, and I will argue that to my death. They may not necessarily have all of the absolute quickest times, but as a pack, I don't think you'll find a more evenly matched group of drivers anywhere, especially on a grid of this size.
Yeah, no, these guys really do know how to go door to door and wheel to wheel, and it's one thing I think to do it really fast over a lap, but it's another thing to just get side by side as we go to the race start. So we're not too far away. I'll hand over to you, Jared, to get us underway.
Watch Wayne Walker there in 5th. We are about to get underway, and we are off and racing for race number 2, 40 laps. Have a look at the drive from Luke Orman as he jumps up through a couple of spots immediately off the line. Big contact, Jamie Dyke, Dean Logsdale, Wayne Walker getting caught up, manages to survive it. Have a look at this. That is not the start that any of these drivers will have wanted. This is absolute carnage on the opening lap, and this is the danger. Alex Kiedis just sneaks through there. David Coleman sitting sideways in the middle of the track. Wow, not the start that any of these drivers would have hoped for. We've got cars going backwards. I think that might have been Craig Schulz from 9.5, perhaps, that was sitting facing backwards. Not at all what we would have expected off the start, but just gives you an idea of how dangerous that opening straight can be. Out in front, Vanderkraan, Bentz and Fisher have survived, as has Wayne Walker by the skin of his teeth. And we do indeed have a safety car called. Unsurprisingly, we'll reset and get rolling again. So these guys will make their way around and line up behind the Soliguard safety car on the start of the next lap. It's, I tell you what, not a pretty start at all for most of the drivers in the field for that one.
I'll tell you what, show me Wayne Walker's car. I do not know how that man has gotten through that without being cleaned up by A, another car, or B, the wall. He rolled out of the throttle super early there, was so patient trying to navigate that incident. I think he may have made a little bit of contact here or there with someone as we watch this. This is the catalyst. Up the middle, tries to go between the two of them, and he's just sort of caught between everyone there, isn't he?
It's just
sort of
unceremoniously dumps Logsdale off to the side of the track, gives him a nudge out of the way, and carries on. But
I think that there was that gap there between Bentz and I'm trying to work out who the other car that was there, but it was between Bentz and Jamie Dyke, and he just runs out of space. The gap between them diminishes. We've seen this so many times in touring car racing, in sports car racing, and it just, the gap diminishes, and all of a sudden there's nothing left. And Jamie Dyke, before you know it, is heading straight towards Jason Bentz, and then Jason Bentz is hitting Dean Logsdale, and then Dean Logsdale's facing the wrong way. He's actually having a little bumper kiss with Wayne Walker.
Have a look at this one though. Luke Orman just caught in the middle of it all. Cars absolutely everywhere. Jim Caperonis just looking through the side window at David Coleman there, and probably the messiest start that I've seen in an awfully long time, and I suspect it's entirely our fault for talking about just how good this group of drivers is of the pack.
Yeah, look, I think we've definitely jinxed it, and that's
100%.
We'll 100%. That's on us. That's our fault. We'll wear that. Sorry, everybody. David Logsdale. Sorry, I don't know how this. I don't know if this is actually 100% accurate right now, because it says Damon Fisher is leading this race, Joel Oswald's second, Ashley Hall is third, David Logsdale is fourth.
It is accurate right now only because, and we've missed it while we were just taking in the glorious sights of supercars belting into each other.
Coming to the pits.
These four are the only cars that have not come into the pits on this safety car, which is, it's always an interesting call, right? You've got 2 compulsory stops. You're not going to need to fill up twice in this race, so it's really, really interesting to see any driver not take what is effectively a free stop under a safety car. I don't see what sort of strategy, and look, Damon Fisher and Joel Osterwald particularly, not slow drivers by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not quite sure what they're hoping to gain from this, because Matt Vanderkraan has been into the pits, back out, and he's right there in 5th. He'll be sitting right behind them as they come back around again. So, you know, we've still got another probably coming in this lap, I would imagine, although we'll wait for confirmation from race control. But I don't see why he wouldn't have come into the pits. And there we go, confirmation race control is just letting us know safety car is coming in this lap. So yeah, it's a very strange choice. It always is when I see people not take the free stop. You know, it might make sense if you're in a longer race or perhaps running an even more aggressive fuel cap. But the fuel tank in these things is huge. Even with a 60% fuel cap, it's still just so much fuel in the tank that you don't actually need a whole lot of fuel on board across the 2 stops. So it boggles me, Isaac, honestly, that the drivers have gone, you know what, now I can take an alternative strategy. Maybe it'll play out. But I don't think we've seen it happen before, where it's actually come out better for them.
I don't know, especially in a race where it's only 2 compulsory stops. I don't know that it's really super beneficial for these drivers to stay out this long. Maybe if it was a longer race and you had, like, you know, in a Bathurst 1000, for example, where it's early on in the race and you're not too worried about meeting compulsory stops, yeah, stay out, gain track position, because hopefully you're going to cycle back up with everybody pretty much anyway later on, unless there's another safety car. But in this stage where you've got to complete 2 compulsory stops that probably aren't really that high pressure, like you make a stop now and then you can get home with 1 more stop from here. As we look on board with Sean Van der Molen, and he's not quite flashing, but he has got the guns out. He's got the tank top on. It must be hot in the sim rig for Sean Van der Molen at the moment.
I am actually really surprised that Sean Van der Molen is wearing something that we can actually tell is clothing this time around. I'm pretty certain we've seen him in just the ruggers before, although it might have been a flesh-coloured singlet. I don't know, Sean. You keep us on our toes, mate, and it's always a bit of a guessing game when we do cut to you as to what we're going to get here. We've got a few other drivers floating around who do have their cameras set up for us tonight as well. Dean Logsdale, the 9.5 SimSport entry, just ahead, also looking pretty comfy at the moment. He's sitting in 15th. He's down 11, but of course has the pit stop sorted, and he'll be so thankful for that fast repair that he's taken advantage of already. Because, yeah, it was a nasty start for a whole bunch of these drivers. And we are getting ready to go racing once again as Damon Fisher has control of this race to come through the stadium section. He's going to get onto the throttle in no time, and he'll start to try and pull away here if he can. He's going to actually hold him up to a very late push. The control line, of course, is the actual start-finish line, which is a bit unusual. A lot of the tracks have had the control line a lot further back, and you can see they're actually all hanging well out to the side. Now that's interesting. I'm not entirely sure that is within the spirit of the lineup behind that controlling car, but regardless, we're underway. It hasn't netted him any advantage anyhow as we come on down the main straight once again, this time looking a little more conservative from most of these drivers, although you can see already Wayne Walker is looking to send it up the inside if he can. He wants to get moving and start to get back up through this pack a little further. Already we've got a car around. That's David Logsdale now, who's been turned. Now, can he actually get out of trouble here without getting taken? I think he's gotten very lucky there to not end up getting belted by another car on their way through. Have a look at Ryan Palmer weaving to the inside, trying to get past Mark Poynton here as they come down towards this long right-hand hairpin. Still nothing in it, but you know what, these drivers are not hanging around. The tyres probably still have a decent amount of heat in them at the moment. They haven't warmed all the way up, and you'll see probably a few moments, as you see there, Damon Fisher sliding it through that section of the S's all the way out to the edge of the tarmac. The field just following through, and some of these cars running very wide indeed as they try to get a little bit of temp into the tyres and a little bit of pace underneath them. Mark Poynton just charging his way through. Ryan Palmer around the outside as well. And you can see already a bit of a gap starting to open up. Wayne Walker picks up a slowdown. So he's discovered limits. Mark Poynton gets a nudge from behind there as I think that was Troy Sipple into the back of him actually on the way through there. But no massive harm done at the moment. Although it does look like, unfortunately for Alex Kiedis, he's gone around again.
Yeah, that's super disappointing for us kids. He's had a rough night, hasn't he? And yeah, it's just not what he wants at all. Wayne Walker
Burning that slowdown.
That's cost him so much time. He's all the way back down to 8th now. That is a huge disadvantage for Wayne Walker. So anyone that's seen that knows that he has a slowdown. It's going to make note of that and go, I really don't want to get a slowdown because that's going to cost me so much time in just the awkward spots you have to try and serve it in. So
I think what I find really interesting about that is that he had that slowdown in the stadium section. He could have quite easily burnt heaps of that and held a lot of the field up behind him coming through the stadium. He's chosen not to. Now, knowing Wayne, I actually reckon that's more of a good sportsmanship move than it is a strategic thought for him, because he's smart enough to know that he could have actually slowed it right down and not lost as many places. But I reckon he's left it as long as he could and then gotten out of the way to actually serve it. Look, I could be wrong. Maybe he's just misjudged it a bit, as we see Ryan Palmer and Troy Sipple going side by side, as is Logsdale up the inside. Sipple's just there. Ryan Palmer's going to look around the outside, try and get back on the inside into this stadium section. At the moment, he's going to just have to slot in behind, although Sipple runs wide. Now Palmer's got a little bit of a run as they come back out the other side. He's going to have to give that up because Sipple's moving across and pushing him very quickly towards the wall, and back onto the main straight they go. Damon Fisher out in front, a 1:30.874, the clear air working wonders for his lap time. Ken Ladder now side by side with Wayne Walker on the run down the straight, and no slowing down for Walker this time. He's going to push it all the way to the braking zone.
He is battling hard here now. Wayne Walker trying to make up those spots. Ken Ladder looks at the inside. We've got more cars side by side in the background. Troy Sipple being overtaken by Ryan Palmer there. And then that is
Sean Van der Meulen.
Van der Meulen in the background, and Dean Logsdale in 10th spot. So they haven't actually fallen away too much after that massive incident off the start. So I think pretty much the entire field being caught up in that accident, and then everybody coming into the pit lane to repair that damage, I think has sort of played into the advantage of everyone not being super disadvantaged early on in this race. But Damon Fisher, he's got a bit of a lead now going, actually, for a man that hasn't stopped yet in this race. He's got to stop twice, keep in mind. But another safety car in this race, he could really be in this, because he is sort of starting to walk away from Joel Osterwald and Ashley Hall, and then Matt Vanderkruijs is the first of the runners that have actually stopped in this race, and he's still trying to find a way past Ashley Hall.
Have a look at this pack. We're watching the action a bit further back. This is from about 18th onwards. James Hardy at the head of a very, very long line of cars that includes the likes of Jamie Dyke. You've got Jim Caparonis, Darren Walden back here, Mick Clifton, David Coleman starting to make a bit of a move, although what an awkward spot that is for, it looks like, was that Andrew Johnston who got turned sideways there? It was. Coleman's picked up a massive slowdown because he's had to cut the stadium section to avoid further contact, as has Phil Manuel. So they're going to have to really just hold off here, and we'll probably see something pretty similar to Wayne Walker's situation, where they're going to have to burn off a huge amount of time as they come down this straight. It's not ideal, but I mean, what do you do? Ultimately, the alternative there is to just go into the car in front, and look at Coleman go. He's burning it off right there. That's a much better choice of spot to do it. He's only lost one spot, and he's going to be able to push Hayes all the way out to the wall and probably retain that one, although he does have Philo and Schulz right on his tail as Hayes looks to the inside. David Coleman, though, will have the pace down into this corner, and he will maintain 24th for now. The pack behind him, though, all keen for an opportunity to get through. Further up, Sean Van der Meulen has a little bit of a gap to this pack. Luke Orman at the head of it, with Sipple, Varga, Rushworth and Cudby all fairly close behind. You can see Van der Meulen and Ashley Hall going side by side into the stadium section. Hall's on the inside for this one, but Van der Meulen's going to find himself back on the inside for the hairpin, and much better position, so he should retain that lead for the moment. Just needs to get the car pointed in and back out the other side. Does so beautifully. This train really started to come together in what will effectively be a battle for 11th that stretches back, look, you'd have to say all the way back to 20th at the very least.
Yeah, this is a huge battle, this battle pack that is going on at the moment. It's definitely keeping everybody on their toes, because any mistake here from anybody is going to cost you a huge chunk of time side by side for Luke Ullman and Ashley Hall, and he now finds his way past the Quantum Racing driver. Oh, a little bit on the curb there. Trying to switch back there, did Ashley Hall. He's picked up a slowdown as a result. He cut too much of that corner, and that's cost him a heap of time, actually. And now he's got his teammates in Stephen Varga and Troy Sipple too far behind. He probably won't make it too difficult for them, I would imagine. But yeah, this battle pack, pretty much, yeah, I'd say from Sjellen van der Meulen all the way back to Jim Capronis in 20th, so almost 10 cars in this little train of a battle pack here, battling away. And then even third place, Matt van der Kraan, all the way back to Mark Poynton in 8th. There's a train of cars going as well, so we've got a couple little battle packs forming here at the moment.
Yeah, and it's always good to see, right? You want to see supercars actually driving around as a pack, because it's just some of the most fun, honestly, as far as supercar racing goes. You don't want to see them too spread out. It's all about the door bang, after all. As we see a little bit further back, Troy Sipple sends it up the inside of Jamie Dyke. I think he might just hold on to this if he can get some drive down. Has to really run out over there, but Jamie Dyke's got the inside on these final couple of turns, and he'll get away here, although I think they're going to end up side by side down the main straight if they're not careful. It looks like Sipple just hasn't quite had the grip, hasn't quite had the speed to keep it going, and sure enough, Jamie Dyke picks up another spot. He's up into 15th, but a bit of a gap starting to open up ahead with Luke Orman just stretching his legs, Stephen Varga, Andrew Rushworth as well. Looks as though we might have had a bit of a moment for Ketis Schultz and Phil Manuel on that last lap, or perhaps a little bit earlier. We'll go back, we'll have a quick look at that and see if we can pick up just what has happened and if indeed they were all involved in it together. So Ketis gets a big nudge there, goes into the back and then comes back across. How's that for a little bit of karma almost for I think it was Phil Manuel, perhaps into the back of Ketis. Craig Schulz out in front. Unfortunately, just enough of a nudge to unsettle the rear, and he goes around. Almost though, almost the perfect spin, and picks it up and just drives away.
It's yeah, look, I'm not sure trying to process. It does happen. Phil Manuel, he just sort of just got it cleaned up at the back of him, and then I thought he actually got away with it for a little bit there, and the camera cuts away and it pans, and there he is just sitting there. And yeah, so this is we'll go back to what's happening on track at the moment. I believe this is Jim Capronis trying to find a way past Troy Sipple. So this is look at this battle pack. I mean, it's just continuing to grow. So we've now got all the way down to I'd say that's David Coleman in 21st as part of this battle pack as well. But the gap between Jamie Dyke and James Hardy is starting to grow. It's almost at 3 seconds. So these guys are trying to push as hard as they possibly can at the moment. We're only 10 laps into this race. We haven't even got anywhere near the halfway point yet. We're about a quarter of the way through this race, and so far there's been so much action that's happening on track for these guys. We've had a massive pile-up. We've already had a safety car, which we thought we would see, but I don't think we thought we'd see it in that fashion.
I wasn't expecting it on the straight from the start. Yeah, that was a bit unexpected. You know what I'm really interested to see here is when we are going to see the update of the penalties start to flow through, and sure enough, there it is. Wayne Walker determined at fault for the incident that set off all of that earlier on, and look, not too surprised considering he kind of jammed the car in the middle, and yeah, look, a tough call for race control. Maybe you could have called it a racing incident, but and a big moment there for looks like Ashley Hall just getting it all sorts of wrong and into the wall, so he's going to have to just try and get that thing back to the pits if he can. Yeah, look, Walker's going to have to serve a drive-through. It's not going to cost him a huge amount of time, but it is going to set his progress back. That is great news for the likes of Matt van der Kraan, for Ken Latta, for Jason Bentz, Dean Logsdale in 8th as well. That is all really, really good news for them, because Walker may be quick, but he's still going to have to fight his way all the way back through the pack to make sure that he stays in touch in terms of points. He's back out from his drive-through now, finds himself in 15th place, but with a bit of a speed disadvantage as Jim Capronis gets past, as does James Hardy, and so Walker now back in 17th and in some clear air for the moment. Have a look at this behind though, as we see Mick Clifton take a big look up the inside of Sipple, who's, you got to give it credit, Sipple is doing a pretty good job in terms of car control with a very, very mangled front end on that Mustang.
he's doing a wonderful job with the amount of damage. And I think the fact that there's no altitude here, so there's lack of aero, is actually helping him with that front end damage. So I think we're actually seeing, even Wayne Walker, we're not actually seeing that much of a deficit, if you will, with the lack of aero, because it doesn't matter too much around here. It's more the straight line speed, and the altitude means that the panels doesn't create as much more downforce as it would if it was bent. So I think we're seeing
wins, mate.
really
Small
good job.
wins.
Yeah, small wins, exactly. Small wins, and you got to think these cars are definitely struggling at such a high altitude, and because they're requiring a lot more air, and the air is a lot thinner. But on the upside, if they do damage them, like some of them have, it's not actually affecting the aero that much. So upsides and downsides.
Absolutely. Ken Latta at some point there managed to sneak past Jason Bentz. I think perhaps a bit of a misstep for Bentz. We'll go back and take a quick look, see if we can pick this up. And it looks like Latta just got the better run under brakes. And then side by side, and Bentz just ending up in behind. That was actually a beautiful move from Latta. He placed himself perfectly there, and Bentz had no real option but to let him on through. So they're going to continue to battle over third and fourth, which gives Matt Vanderkraan just a little bit of breathing room up ahead. Joel Lusterval, the last of the drivers yet to pit for the first time, so he's out in front by a few seconds, but effectively Matt Vanderkraan leading this race at the moment. He'll be stoked with that. Dean Logsdale has found himself into 7th at the moment, so he's recovering nicely after that earlier issue. But have a look at this pack that we've got here. So Sippel, Coleman, Clifton and Vigar have all managed to find each other on track. This is now the battle for 16th behind the number 17 car of Sips. And David Coleman continues to try and just walk his way up. A little bit of a nudge along there from Rick Vigar. Mick Clifton slowing down too much for his liking. And just a couple of duos battling it out through a really, really fun little section of this Mexican track.
Absolutely, and if I may, I'm going to campaign. We need a safety car. If we could have a safety car right now, close everybody right back up, that'd be really nice. That'd create a little bit of excitement, wouldn't it? But no, we've still got a couple of battles up the inside here for, I believe that's
David Coleman gets on through.
Coleman, but
contact in the background.
Oh,
Mick Clifton just holds that.
Power slide. He's done well to catch that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't both end up in the wall. Sips will be a little frustrated that he's lost the drive out of the corner, that he could have stayed perhaps with David Coleman. But good news for David Coleman, because he's just going to walk away into the distance. And Sippel will now have this pack of 4 behind him. Rick Vigar, Mick Clifton, Brad Hayes and Keo Philo all there. Big lock-up from Mick Clifton. Philo just gets out of the way and avoids contact in the background. And Clifton well off the inside of the track there, has to really back out of it to stay. Oh, there's a moment for is that Rick Vigar, who's just overcooked it by the look of things, and he's going to drop to the back of this little group and find himself in between them now. Darren Walden and Damon Fisher looking to close the gap behind. Philo's come out ahead of all of this, and Brad Hayes now looking to make the move on Clifton if he can. Plenty more going on throughout the field, but this is one of the bigger groups just for the moment. James Hardy a little bit further up, you can see side by side with Wayne Walker, who's trying to make his way back through the field. Hardy's not going to make this easy for him. He takes the inside line, defends on the way into the stadium section, and here they come into that hairpin. Hardy, you can see, is playing a very, very defensive line at the moment, really holding Wayne Walker up here, and not surprised to see it, honestly. You don't have to give him a way through just because he's wearing the number 1 on the side of the car, and Walker he's going to have to earn this one, because James Hardy not interested in giving up 14th.
Yeah, he's going to make him work, and as you said, just because you have the number 1 on the door doesn't mean everybody's going to move out of your way. And he's learned that. I think he's learned that throughout this season. He definitely knows that he has to work for it. No one's just going to get out of his way. I don't think Wayne Walker is ever the character that will expect anyone to just move out of his way. He very much likes the hard racing. He likes the challenge. He likes to work for it. He doesn't like to be handed things. Does this man, as evidenced by his slowdown earlier when he just got out of the way on the front straight, let everybody go. I think he was displaying good sportsmanship and just doesn't want to be handed a win, doesn't want to be handed a position, and he will expect nothing less from James Hardy than to fight tooth and nail for the position, provided there's no contact, there's no sad people at the end, and No one's going crying that they've been hit. That was a little bit hairy through there. They got very close, and it's cost Wayne Walker a little bit of time.
James Hardy goes
around.
around.
James Hardy goes around.
He's into the
trying
wall.
to carry more speed.
And there you go.
Here's heavy contact into the wall.
The damage on that car, very, very obvious. And so David Coleman's going to look to pick up a nice easy spot. He decides to just tuck back in behind, but you'd have to think that Hardy's got to think about bringing that one in for a repair. I don't know if he's got the fast repair up the sleeve or not, but hey,
yeah,
it's one of those things. He's been battling hard with Wayne Walker as Walker comes in for his second stop, so he's looking to take it all the way home from here. By the look of things, although no, I stand corrected. Sorry, no, this will be his first stop because the first time through was a drive-through.
Oh, so he's served the drive-through.
He served the drive-through, so that should be his first stop.
I don't know. I believe he did serve a stop before that as well, so this may actually be his second stop plus the drive-through.
Yeah, actually, I think you might be right because he did have 16 seconds at the base, so he's actually going to look at trying to take 25 laps home, which should be fairly straightforward. But yeah, it's probably not what we were expecting as we see Troy Sipple and Rick Vigar. Of course, these two managed to find each other and start a little battle out on pack. Vigar getting the best of Sipple for the moment. Speaking of nice little battles, something we missed just a little bit earlier, Sean Van Meulen and Ryan Palmer. Look, a bit of separation now, but have a look at this little moment where they do swap back and forth here. Van Meulen up the inside of Palmer, just forces his way through. Palmer back on the inside. A little bit of rubbing of panels there, and Van Meulen has to back on out to just stay on the line. But you can see that these guys just don't give any quarter at all. If you're going to go alongside them into a corner, they are absolutely going to stay right there in the position that they've earned and make you fight for your way past.
Yeah, they are absolutely going to make you work for this. And I think, a little bit of side-to-side contact there between, I believe that's
Fisher and Sipple. Yeah, so Sips
yeah,
is starting to struggle a bit by the look of it. I don't know if it's the damage or the tyres are just starting to really let go on him.
Aero, a little bit of everything, maybe just a little bit, getting a little bit impatient out there. Maybe he's pushing that car really hard, just trying to extract as much time as he possibly can out of it. And with the front end damage, it won't be a lot, but he'll still be feeling it in comparison to everybody else. It won't have as much effect as it would at a lower altitude circuit like Sandown or Brands Hatch or something like that. But he's definitely going to feel it. He'll just see cars coming out of the pit lane. That's something else they're going to have to navigate, trying to go for moves down that front straight. You've got to be aware of cars coming out of the lane. Don't want to clean someone up on the exit of the pits.
No, absolutely not. And some of these drivers, starting to just get themselves sorted in terms of their pit strategy. Just taking a look up and down the timing tower at the moment. Obviously a bit awkward with that very, very early safety car, but you can see that Jamie Dyke and David Coleman have both completed 2 stops. Now, I'm relatively certain that those will both be stops that do count towards the compulsory number, but I'm not entirely sure of it at this point. I suspect there might be a little something off there because we're saying that they've pitted twice and that their second one was on lap number 2. Doesn't sound right to me. So I think they'll probably come in again at some point. Realistically, the leader of this race, as far as I can see it, is actually could well be Dean Logsdale at this point. Sitting in 18th at the moment, but he appears to actually have two legitimate stops recorded. So he's coming on lap 15.
Can he get home from here? That's the question.
Well, that is the question. Look, there are certainly other drivers that have just come in. Joel Osterwald ahead came in on lap 15 as well, but that's his first stop. So he's got to make another one at some stage. Really, the pressure at the moment is all on the names up front to make sure they've got enough of a gap to get away with a stop. Right now, the gap to Matt Vanderkruijden in front for Dean Logsdale is about 49 seconds, which, when you consider that that's pretty well bang on what everyone's been spending in terms of their pit lane time coming in so far, it's going to be very, very close for Dean Logsdale. And it could just be that the undercut has worked massively in his favour despite the huge damage at the start of this race.
Yeah, This is going to be a great comeback for Dean Logsdale. Just to even finish on the podium, I think, at this stage, if this is it for him, and he is coming back through this field, and he is, as you said, the projected leader of this race, as we see Hannah Mulan battling with Ryan Palmer. I think this is especially considering a lot of these cars were sideways, backwards, all sorts of the wrong way on lap 1 down this front straight. Sean Van Mulen, look at him working away in the cockpit there, just trying to get the car to the apex. That was a really nice move actually on Ryan Palmer's to move himself up in the 5th place. Car 107, and 82. So that is
Phil Manuel gets the drive-through.
Phil Manuel drive-through for contact with Alex Kiedis. So he does get the drive-through for a contact we saw a little while ago, as we see more cars also coming to lane. So I think that's a great comeback drive. There's a lot of drivers in this field though. Matt Vanderkraan looking pretty strong at the moment. He's out in first. He could also be a strong contender for this race. Do not count him out just yet.
No, he's going to have plenty of pace, and as long as he can maintain a bit of clear air to keep running the sort of laps that he is, he's not going super fast, right? We're seeing 131s from him, but that's actually aligned to what most of the field are doing. Dean Logsdale, though, is just coming out on fresh tyres. He's just at a 130.74. Wayne Walker, a 130.65 on the last lap. So those fresh tyres definitely making a difference. You really do get such a boost out of the first few laps on a new set of tyres on these Gen 3 supercars. So, Dean Logsdale moves up another position as Damon Fisher rescues himself from a trip to the wall, I think. Not a huge incident, but just got it a little off the beaten path and needed to slow it right down. Logsdale is absolutely on the move. A 30.74 on his last lap is his best so far, and that's with not even the freshest of tyres. He came in on lap 15, so these are 3 or 4 laps old. You usually expect him to be a little bit past their best times after the first couple of laps. It doesn't take long at all to get past their peak. As he comes across the line and runs a 30.46, so he's just getting faster and faster. I think he's listening in and he knows how close he is to Matt Vanderkraan for Vanderkraan's second stop. The gap now down to 47.1 to Vanderkraan, which is dangerously close to the amount of time that Vanderkraan's going to be looking at spending in the pits for his second stop. Spent 45.5 in there the first time round. The question is, how much fuel is he going to have to take on?
That is the question. How much fuel does he need to take on to get to the end of this race? The other thing I'm looking at as well, Wayne Walker has the fastest lap of the race at 30.1. So he's flying out there at the moment as well. He's in 16th place and he's about a minute off the back of Matt Vanderkraan. So he is pushing. He's trying to make up places. He wants to get in that top 5, I think, before the end of this race, which would be a massive effort after a drive-through. I do believe he has served both his stops, maybe, but definitely don't quote me on that because I could be very, very wrong. But we will obviously find out before the end of this race. But if that is all his stops done, we are almost finished in this race for Wayne Walker, then that could be a really good comeback drive after serving a drive-through as well.
Yeah, absolutely could be. I'm just trying to decide what on earth has just crashed to the floor in my room here, folks. So I think we're all intact. I can't actually work out.
It's all falling apart.
Yeah, it's all falling apart, though I can't actually figure out what on earth it is. So no harm, no foul. Everything seems to be in one piece, and my screen is still working. So that's a bonus, as we see Dean Logsdale. He's made his way past Rick Vigar and really started to stretch the legs. A little bit slower that lap, just getting caught up in the battle with Vigar. A 32.2 not going to help him out. But Matt Vanderkraan now issued a drive-through penalty for the incident earlier on with David Logsdale. So yeah, it's that's going to be interesting because it just brings Dean Logsdale a little bit closer to perhaps keeping the lead of this race as the rest of the pit stops come through. G'day Ninja, you snuck on in here. Sorry mate, didn't notice you seen it. Welcome on back. It's been an absolute cracker of a couple of races. The first race was a brilliant sprint, and yeah, certainly the start of this race was less than ideal for a whole bunch of drivers, let's say.
Yeah, look, it's certainly for, I think about at least 50%, maybe 65% of the field, it was not an ideal start to the race at all. There was definitely quite a few drivers up Struggle Street. However, the safety car did help neutralise things, and Kent Latter and Jason Bentz, they now have an opportunity to battle for the lead of this race as it stands at the moment. Both need to serve another stop before the end of this race. But if I'm Dean Logsdale, I'm cheering at the moment. Matt Vanderkram, he's still 14 seconds up the road, or probably a little bit more, maybe about, what's that? Maybe, let me do maths in my head.
Yeah, about 14. We'll call it 14.
20,
but he's still going to come in for a second stop.
23 seconds up the road, it looks like, from Dean Logsdale. But as you said, he has to come in for a second stop. So that's a long time. I think he will lose out maybe even to Wayne Walker here, potentially by the time he served that stop. So super frustrating for Matt Vanderkram, but Dean Logsdale, I reckon he's in the driver's seat now for this one.
Yeah, he's certainly well placed. What I will note is that the drive-through for Matt Vanderkram hasn't counted as a pit stop in our telemetry. So that says to me that if we're seeing 2 stops, that could be accurate. I'm still not sure how it is that Jamie Dyke and David Coleman have both had 2 stops in the first 2 laps. I mean, did they tow around and then stop under the safety car again? Maybe that's that can't be,
because does the safety car count as a compulsory stop? That's my question.
You can get 1 stop done under safety car and have it count as a compulsory stop.
Does the tow count? Does the tow?
Well, you'd have to think that would be. You'd have to think that if that's what they've done, then that would be your compulsory stop, and there's no actual benefit to coming in again. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe I need to dive into the rule book and understand if there's some kind of weird wording that actually allows that to count as 2. I can't imagine it does. In either case, I don't know that that's going to make a massive amount of difference for Dyke and Coleman, because they must surely be thinking about fuel saving if they're trying to run the entire 40 laps, more or less, with the fuel that they've managed to take on board early on. 40 laps is not a massive distance, but when you do only have a 60% fuel capacity, which is limited for these races, then yeah, that's a big ask. Ken Latta and Jason Bentz, no such issues. They both take a slightly different line there on the way into the stadium. But yeah, it's the one to watch here, I think, still must be Dean Logsdale.
Oh yeah, I do not think we're going to see anyone but Dean Logsdale, barring any major issues. I think we're going to see Dean Logsdale comfortably, at least when the stops play out, be in the lead of this race. If not, he's going to be extremely close to the lead of this race with Ken Latta. He's going to invite himself into that little battle pack that Ken Latta and Jason Bentz have. But I think he's positioned himself very well after that early incident when he had massive contact. He was facing the wrong way. He was essentially, they were having a little driver-to-driver face-to-face, him and Wayne Walker. They were waving to each other from the cockpits of their car, and then now he's looking like he's in contention to pretty much lead this race once everybody works out their stops. So that's a really, really good effort from him, and a wonderful drive. Just shows the power of the safety car as well, and how much that can sort of save your race, especially when it's early on like that. You have a massive incident and it just neutralises the field, gives everybody an opportunity to come back into this, because I think if we didn't have that safety car, there'd be quite a large number of drivers that would be well out of this race.
The counterpoint to that, of course, is the worst thing that can possibly happen for Dean Logsdale right now is another safety car, because he's in such a great spot as a result of that first one. A second one would absolutely decimate his lead that he holds, as we take a look. Look, Dean Logsdale effectively leading the race post pit stops, you'd have to think. Chad Vigar in 11th is probably sitting in second, with Mark Poynton in third and Wayne Walker behind that. Unless, of course, Jamie Dyke and David Coleman are legitimately both on a massive fuel save and it does count as their 2 compulsory stops done, in which case Jamie Dyke and David Coleman are the potential race leaders there. I still don't think that's quite accurate in our telemetry, so we'll keep an eye on it anyhow. We're watching this battle further back. Damon Fisher and James Hardy have been having a bit of fun here, but have a look at this 3 wide down the straight. Sean Vandermeulen is not in this particular little battle here. He is a lap up on both of these cars, so Sippel and Kiedis are just fighting it out between each other for 21st and 22nd, and Vandermeulen's just said thank you very much on my way through. Behind him, Ryan Palmer is going to want to come past these 2 as well, so you can see Kiedis just getting out of the way and Palmer allowed to just scoot on through. Sips will be watching his mirror to do the same in the not too distant future, I'm sure. but it gives you an idea of just how much of an impact that early incident has had on the overall field. I don't think I've ever seen this many cars at just past the halfway point of a race a lap down. Keatis, Walden, Brad Hayes, McClifton, Logsdale, Hall, Manuel, Cudby, Caperonis, Andrew Johnston, all at least a lap down. It's not been a good race for quite a number of drivers.
No, it has not really been a good race at all for quite a large number of drivers. I think it has not been a good night overall for Alex Keatis. I don't think he has struggled all night. Blew up the engine in race 1, and then the contact with Phil Manuel in race 2.
Bence is in.
Certainly, Bence is in. So I was just looking at lap times as well. The fastest car on the last lap was actually Wayne Walker with a 31.1. The next fastest car with a 31.2 was none other than Dean Logsdale. Jamie Dyke and David Coleman are about a second slower at the moment per lap with a 32.2 and a 32.3 respectively. So they are definitely doing some sort of fuel saving, and it means that Dean Logsdale is actually closing in quite quickly on David Coleman in front. So there is the potential that they could be going to the end here, but they're doing a lot of fuel saving, and they're costing them a lot of lap time to do that at this stage of the race. And whereas Wayne Walker and Dean Logsdale, they are pushing to make sure that they can try and catch up and get themselves in contention at the end of this race.
Looks like Logsdale's actually lost a decent amount of time on just getting caught up behind some of these other cars, because he's coming out. Jason Bence is 4.5 seconds still up the road, so Logsdale probably not quite as well placed as he perhaps could or should have been as we ride aboard as he gets through this first chicane. But still in a pretty good spot overall. It just does make me think that maybe there is not quite as much of an opportunity for him to come out ahead of Ken Latta, who's still out there in front. He's about 45 seconds up the road from Logsdale as he comes into the pits now. And this is almost shot for shot where Logsdale was last lap as Jason Bence came in. So the question will be, how quickly can Latta get in and out of the pits? And can he stay ahead of Logsdale, or is he going to be battling right alongside him? I reckon it's going to be a very, very close thing. Dean Logsdale now enters the stadium section, all on his own at the moment. Keep your eye though on Ken Latta, still in the pit bay. Should be just about to drop off the jacks now. As we wait for the time. A 17-second time in the box is much, much longer than he would have hoped for, and I reckon if it wasn't for the fact that he was so far up the pit lane itself, it would have cost him a lot more time. As it is, he's out onto track. He's stayed ahead for the moment of Dean Logsdale and has come out right alongside. Have a look at this. David Coleman, Jason Bence and Ken Latta all absolutely locked in there. Now, if indeed Jamie Dyke and David Coleman are actually, they have knocked over their two compulsory stops, then geez, this is going to be a very, very interesting race from here on. David Coleman's not going to have the pace to compete with these guys as Bence looks to go around the outside. Ken Latta's going to get caught in behind. I mean, we're going to see some bump drafting here perhaps from the Fishing Motorsports team. David Coleman, a big slide. Oh. He ends up around and almost rolls back in front of Dean Logsdale. No, sorry, who's that come through? That's one of the lap Team AJR cars that's just come through. Coleman getting on the throttle in a big way. That's probably not ideal with Chad Vigo just whipping through behind him. Going to be a little bit of door banging there with Mick Clifton a lap down behind, probably less concerned. Sean Vandermeulen comes into the pits. So if Jamie Dyke is, and look, we know he's a bit of a fuel-saving master, Isaac, but if this is legit, then he's actually amazingly well placed right now.
He is absolutely, I would think, in the box. We've got 13 laps, we've got 14 laps to go in this race.
He can't be 19 seconds up. Surely not.
Can he? Surely. Look, this is my brain is going a million miles an hour. I'm looking at data, I'm looking at numbers, I'm trying to work out what is going on here for Jamie Dyke to be able to pull this off, because if he has done this is a massive effort for him to get this far into the race with this much fuel saving. He did a 32.2 on the previous lap compared to Jason Bence did a 31.9. Dean Logsdale did a 31.6, Wayne Walker did a 32.5. So everyone's starting to fall into the same lap time. So I don't know if he pulls this off. I think maybe we could just get a really anticlimactic bit where he just comes into the pit lane in a couple of laps' time. And we see
we've got it completely wrong, and
stop,
actually he just needs to come in again. It's entirely possible. It
feels
wouldn't be
like
the
it
first time. It wouldn't be the first time.
No, but on the off chance that he has pulled this off, that is a mega effort. And only time will tell. We'll wait and see. We've got this battle on screen at the moment between Jason Betts and Ken Latta. This could be for the effective race lead, these two. They've got Dean Logsdale about 5 seconds back, so they're actually pretty comfortable to battle away at the moment without losing too much time. So Fishy Motorsports, Quantum Racing, I think it's Quantum Racing.
It is indeed for Jason Betts.
But so we've got Fishy Motorsports, Quantum Racing. They're going to go at it, and hopefully they can not lose too much time to this man, Dean Logsdale, in the background.
Have a look at this going on. Wayne Walker wanting to charge through, gets a big nudge from Luke Orman behind. And Rick Vigard says thank you very much. I'll just stay out in front for a little bit longer, thanks. So Walker Orman and Matt Vanderkran's right there as well. The two Angry Birds entries either side of the battle going on in the middle with Walker and Orman. But this little group here battling it out for ninth, a long way back from what's happening up in front. You're spot on, Ninja. You can cut a huge amount out of these corners for a lot of them, and then some you can't cut any at all. So have a look as Ken Latta looks up the inside. I don't know whether he's got the nose alongside enough. It looks as though Jason Bentz has had to go wide, but immediately forces his way back in. Latta's sliding the car using every bit of tarmac available to him. Have a look at how much they're throwing it around here in Mexico. It's what you love to see, honestly. It's what the supercars are best at, bouncing over curbs, sliding through them, using every bit of the track well outside the white line that ordinarily might denote a track limit. Tonight it means nothing. The supercars using every bit of tarmac available to them, and it looks as though just a brief lock up there from Ken Latta hasn't affected him, thankfully, but it continues. Ryan Palmer is in for his second stop, so Jamie Dyke is now out in front all on his own. What I'm interested to see, and we might just jump on board, have a look at what sort of pace we're actually seeing from Dyke here. It looked to me like and we might have just jumped on board at the wrong time, right? But he does look to be, and without any in-car audio here, for me, it looks as though he is shifting fairly early, and it doesn't look to be bloating for too long off the throttle as he entered those corners, though. So surely he has not played so well in the first 29 laps that he can be pushing full noise here for the remaining 11.
Look, a 32.7 on the previous lap, and Jason Best did a 32.5, and everything else up and down the field. 32.5 also for Luke Olman, 31.3 for Wayne Walker. So, look, he's actually not that far off the times that other guys at the front of the field are doing, Jamie Dyke, but it is a question of, is he fuel saving? As you said, it does definitely look like he's upshifting a little bit early, maybe not revving it all the way, but he's then not as cautious through the corners. Maybe he's driving to a number. Maybe he has a number in his head. He's actually very consistent with his lap times at the moment.
And that is
around that 32.
Oh, here he goes. He's in.
So
he's in.
So he has come in. There we go. So
we've blown it completely. Yeah, we've blown that completely. And well, either that or he's decided that actually I don't quite have enough to get home and just needs a really quick splash and dash. But either way, there's no way he's getting through the pit lane quick enough to hold off Ken Latta, who's already at the start-finish line here. The good news for Latta, though, is that it's only really Jason Bentz anywhere close at the moment. You know, Logsdale is a fair way back. You can just see him coming under the bridge at the very back there, but not really a threat at the moment. So Ken Latta is brilliantly positioned for the remaining 10 laps if he can just hold off Jason Bentz. Either way, it's going to be a great result for him. And also for Dean Logsdale, who's got a massive gap back to Sean Vandermeer, and Wayne Walker getting really held up at the moment. He's managed to move forward a few more spots, but he's sitting all the way back here in 8th. It's going to cost him some decent points here tonight. Yeah. I think he's going to be pretty glad for that 100-point lead.
I think he definitely is. Sean Vandermeer, by the way, up 26 spots in this race.
Massive drive.
He is.
Massive drive.
Massive drive. Absolutely massive. He has driven the wheels off that thing today. He's done a massive job. Chad Weiger, 9 spots up in this race. Rick Vigar up 10 spots in this race. Ryan Palmer up 4. Ken Latta to lead this race, he's up 5 spots. So some of these guys putting in absolutely mega efforts today to move through this field. Spare a thought for a couple of drivers that have lost it out today. Matt Vanderkruijs down 9 spots, Jamie Dyke down 8 spots, David Coleman down 11, and they're struggling. Wayne Walker also down 3 spots in this race. So Jason Betts started in second, is still second. He's one of the few drivers that have not moved anywhere from his original starting position, which is actually surprising considering all the action we've seen. That's Ken Latta, 5-second penalty for a pit lane breach. So the race leader has actually been handed a 5-second time penalty, which will be added to his race time at the end of the race. And as it stands at the moment, that's going to put him third.
And I will almost guarantee that what's happened there, and ASR are absolutely stringent on this. So I'm not super surprised that it's come up at some point. But you must stay in the fast lane of the pits. You're only allowed to actually pull across when you actually get to your pit bay. So let's take a look as Ken Latta entered the pit lane this time around. We'll see if we can get a decent view of it. It might be a little tricky with this pesky little stadium in the way. Let's see what we can find. I don't know if we'll get a better shot. So have a look at him come down. So he stays in the lane here. I wonder if he just pulls across a little bit too early, because that's gonna massively change. Oh, he's drifting across there. That's a long way back from his bay.
6, 7,
Yeah,
that's like 9 bays, I reckon, that he sat in before he actually pulled him to his base. So no wonder he's been hit with a little bit of a breach there. So that'll be frustrating for Ken Latta, because he's leading this race quite comfortably. He's in a position now where I don't think he's gonna lose out to Dean Logsdale. He's definitely going to lose out to Jason Benson at this stage. He's got a lot of work to do in the next 8 laps if he wants to hold on to the lead of this race. He has to find another 3.5 seconds on Jason Benson. I just don't think he has that lap time in him. He did a 31.1 on the previous lap. Jason Benson did a 30 dead, like a 30.9. So 3:09. So he's actually faster at the moment, is Jason Betts. And I think Ken Latta, he's going to struggle up the inside from Mark Boynston on Chad Vigar, but was not able to make that move stick. Now he's coming under threat from Wayne Walker, who fancies himself a chance to move forward as well. So battle for the back end of the top 10. Mark Boynton 7th, Wayne Walker 8th, Chad Vigar 6th. So this is all everyone trying to get up into 6th, and then that's 2.5 seconds up the road to Ryan Palmer, who's sitting in 5th place.
and he's just enjoying this battle going on in his rear view, because it means he's just picking up a 10th on just about every turn as Vigar and Poynton battle it out, and Wayne Walker can't get past the two of them because there just isn't any room for him to do so. He's pretty stuck there. And look, Ryan Palmer, I know for a fact he loves a good battle on track, but he will also not be at all disappointed that Wayne Walker isn't catching him, because Walker is probably one of the few names that I reckon would have Ryan Palmer a little nervous, just a little, as we see another pit lane breach. Caofillo back in 18th, a 5-second penalty. I don't think that'll have a massive impact on his race here tonight. Wayne Walker continues to just stick to the back of Mark Poynton. He's looking for any sign of weakness here in Vigar or Poynton, and just not quite finding it at the moment. Ken Latta now out to 1.7 seconds. It's not going to be going up anytime soon, but he is running just a few tenths quicker than Jason Bentz on that last lap. We'll see if he manages to hold that, but it's just not going to be enough laps for him to pick up a 5-second gap here.
He's running out of time.
He is. He's only got 7 laps or thereabouts to go, and it's unfortunate, but that discipline is so important when it does come to the race rules. So look, he'll still end up with a reasonable kind of finish. I don't think he's likely to drop off the podium altogether, but
No.
it's certainly not what it could have been for him, unfortunately.
He found a lot of time on Jason Benson in that section. He found definitely 3 tenths. He was almost 4 tenths up at one stage. Now it's all coming back to Jason Benson again, and he's pretty much negated that gap once again. So there was a massive time gain for Ken Latta at one stage, and then it all has come back. It was at, 2.1 seconds, and now it's back to 1.8. So it's swings some roundabouts for this for the moment. I think Ken Ladder's just trying to push as hard as he can, and it's really paying dividends in some sections, but then through that twisty section, it's just not really working the way he wants it to work. And pretty much almost actually identical lap times on that last lap. Jason Bent's 1,000th quicker than Ken Ladder, so actually found the tiniest amount of time. Dean Logsdale still 4 seconds away, so Ken Ladder will still finish in second place, but I really think he would have liked to finish at the front if he's going to cross the line first. But as you said, it's all about making sure that you follow those rules, the procedures. They're in place for a reason, and you've got to make sure that you follow them. And he just pulled across just too early, I think, for Ken Ladder. Just very clearly about 8 or 9 bays that he drove through before he actually went into his pit box. So a clear breach of the rules, and he's felt the wrath of the stewards for that one.
We jump on board with Wayne Walker, and this will give you a bird's eye view of just how hard he's pushing in behind Poynton and Vigar, and just cannot find a way past the Frog Leap Juice Racing entry for a start before he even thinks about taking on the Angry Birds entry of Chad Vigar. Have a look at how close Walker's just letting that car slide out. He's just looking for any little bit of extra pace he can find through these turns. He's going to go very, very close to that tyre barrier, although perhaps not as close as Rick went the first time around. And Poynton actually playing a little bit defensively there, going to the inside of that turn early to set up and really make life difficult for Walker. So Poynton very, very aware that Wayne Walker is there, and he's doing everything he can to just keep him tucked away behind so that he can keep the focus forward on Chad Vigar and indeed hold on to his position. It's all good news for Ken Ladder, for Jason Bentz, for Dean Logsdale further up, because they're going to pick up what should be, look, it's not going to make a massive dent in the 100-odd points lead that Wayne Walker holds as of the start of the night, but it is definitely going to make a difference in the championship with just a few rounds to go after this one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make some sort of a difference as we've got 3 rounds to go after this, and it's the pointy end of the season. Mistakes can cost you here, and with how tight this championship is, how close everybody is to each other, it's just there's no room for error. Matt Vanderkraan, he's going to feel the effects of that, especially coming away in 10th place today in this race. He will feel huge effects of this championship swing. Dean Logsdale, he'll be absolutely singing. He's performed super well. That was very close.
Wayne Walker having to take massive evasive action.
Yeah,
surprised he's held on as well as he has there.
He's done very well to not just lose touch with these guys completely, or to drive them back to someone. He's got so much more pace than these two in front of him at the moment, and you can tell he is really trying to get past these guys, but they're making it next to impossible. That's a car off the road.
David Coleman, I believe.
David Coleman sitting out of the way.
Just having a bit of a rest there on the side of the road, I suppose.
A bit of a breeze. He's worked hard, He's He's driven well today. He's driven. He's driving a fast car. It's hard work. 36 laps. We all deserve a break every now and then. I think he's taking one, but this man, Wayne Walker, he's being so patient. A lot of the drivers would have just tried to drive through these cars in front at this stage, but Wayne Walker, he's trying super hard just to bide his time, wait for these guys to make a mistake, and it's almost cost him a couple of times. But I think hopefully within the next couple of laps we'll see that play dividends, and we go, this is a replay of what happened to David Coleman. Just a little bit of a spin, contact with the front wall, and
just overcooks it a little.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
I'll just hang on here for a minute.
Not a great deal he could do there. Chad Vigar now under massive threat. It looks as though Poynton's managed to get alongside. He's up the inside now. Wayne Walker has a look as well. We're going to be 3 wide. And here we go.
There it is.
Wayne Walker up the inside. Mark Poynton just trying everything he can to bring the pace back. Walker's going to have to get on the brakes early, but they're going to have to stay out very wide here. Walker's gone through. Poynton drops back. Is this what Wayne Walker's been waiting for? Just this brief sniff, and it's enough for him to really start to open up the accelerator and start to apply the pressure there. Side by side, Chad Vigar and Wayne Walker as they get through the S's. There's not a lot of room to play with here as Vigar comes back across. Walker's going to have to watch very carefully here as Vigar loses it. He's gone too hard there, locks it up, manages to keep it on the track, but Wayne Walker comes out ahead. Mark Poynton now behind him has Luke Orman, Matt Vanderkraan and Jamie Dyke as there's contact between Dyke and Vanderkraan, and they go into Orman as well. Chaos in the last few laps here as none other than Chad Vigar ends up just giving Matt Vanderkraan a bit of a nudge the right way, although I'm not sure that was the intent of it all. what a moment that was, and I'm not quite sure exactly how that came to pass, but I suspect we can pick it up pretty easily with a quick replay. This is Matt Vanderkruijm. Watch Jamie Dyke up the inside. Just a little bit of a nudge there under brakes. They get locked up. Contact there with Orman. Chad Weiger just completely misses the braking marker. Either that or he was called on by Matt Vanderkruijm to get him turned around as quickly as possible. But help. Come on, get me going again. And these guys will carry on. But that's broken that pack up in a big way. All of a sudden, Wayne Walker, with that bit of extra room, have a look at the gap that he's now got over those cars that were involved in that incident. All on his own now. I can't see him catching Ryan Palmer with just a few laps to go. Ken Latta, meanwhile, that gap has come down. Jason Bentz has really brought it in. Dean Logsdale is now 4.5 seconds off the back of Ken Latta. So Latta really needs to get moving if he wants to stay in second place. At the moment, it looks like a third place is almost guaranteed for him if he can't open that gap back up, because he is still carrying, remember, that 5-second penalty from earlier.
Yep, and a black flag for Jamie Dyke. So
not surprised with how that all played out.
That's a pretty quick decision from the steward as well. So that's I guess it's a pretty concise incident. It's not a hard decision to say, yep, that was a drive-through penalty. That all started, I reckon, way back when Weiger. I'm trying to work out who was involved in that early side-by-side when Weiger and Walker and was in that other point and went side by side 3 wide on the exit of turn 3, and then into the hairpin at 4, and then side by side between. Look at this! Look at the side by side between these two. Wayne Walker, a little bit of room, and then just spins all on his own. Does Chad Weiger, and Chad Weiger did a little bit of the same thing to Wayne Walker. Really, there was a barrier on Wayne Walker's inside. I thought he'd go into it for a second there, and then just between Dyke and. Oh man, there's just so much that went on between those guys. It's a massive incident, massive battle. So much to unpack in about half a lap's worth of racing between about six cars. That was a lot of push and shove, a lot of side by side action, and ended in tears for quite a few drivers. Matt Vanderkruijm, he's going to be not happy at all because he sits in 10th, which is I think actually where he was. So he actually hasn't had much of that much of an overall loss, really, in the grand scheme of things. He'll get another spot when Jamie Dyke serves his drive-through, but it's been a night to forget for the man that came to this, I believe, second place in the championship.
As we take a look at the movers and shakers, as Pato calls out, look, I think absolutely spot on. Driver of the day to Sean Vandermeulen, and if not for the singlet, then for the number of positions that he's picked up here in race number 2, up 26 places from where he started. And he is on track to finish in 4th quite comfortably. Massive drive for Vandermeulen.
Yeah, he's done a superb job, honestly. Like, I cannot overstate. Just 26 spots in this race is no mean feat, and I can't process. I know the key part to that is he didn't pit. He stayed out of trouble in that major incident at turn 1, and then he didn't pit. And we thought that might have been a little bit of an Achilles heel for him, but somehow, still having to serve 2 stops, he's made it work, and he's still in 4th place at the end of things. He's just had a lot of pace in that car. He wasn't able to use it in race 1 after getting caught up in that early incident. I believe it was Phil Manuel in race 1. So he's had a couple moments where he moved backwards, but he'll be super happy with this, I would say. And how could you not be? Up 26 spots, 4th place in this race. He's about 9 seconds back on Dean Logsdale, but he's ahead of Ryan Palmer by about 3 seconds. And with a couple laps to go, you'd pretty much think that 4th place is safe, as we actually do start the last lap. So 1.4 seconds is the gap from Ken Latta to Jason Bentz, but crucially, Dean Logsdale is within 4 seconds of Ken Latta. So as it stands at the moment, Ken Latta's going to drop all the way back to third. Well, not all the way back to third place, not that far, but he is going to go from the top step of the podium to the bottom step of the podium.
Look, at least he's still up there. He's still going to have a bit of champagne at the end of the day, but yeah, it's one of those things, right? What could have been for Ken Latta, and it's not a huge deal of points, the difference. I think for all of these drivers up front, The thing that they've been watching is Wayne Walker's progress through the field. He's closed in pretty impressively, honestly, on Ryan Palmer, who's now only sitting, 6 odd seconds ahead. It's definitely coming down, but as long as Palmer maintains his composure here, Wayne Walker is going to finish up in 6th, which honestly could have been so much worse considering the night that we've had here. Ken Latta comes into the stadium for the very last time as we start to make our way home to the checkered flag. It's been a very, very interesting 40 laps. There's no other way to put it. All sorts of chaos, all sorts of excitement across the course of this race. As we come on home, here comes Ken Latta. He'll cross first on track, but of course a penalty awaiting him. Jason Bentz will pick up the official win, with Dean Logsdale moving up to 2nd. Sean Vandermeulen, though, comes across the line, and he will pick up 4th place. A massive drive from him, up 26 places. Ryan Palmer comes home up 5, and here comes Wayne Walker in 6th. Huge effort for Sean Vandermeulen tonight. Ken Latta, Jason Bentz, Dean Logsdale somehow surviving. You've got to hand it to some of these drivers who somehow made it back from that first lap carnage to still be back up into the top 10 is hard to believe, honestly. As Logsdale gives a little flash of the lights on the way past, Bentz is going to pull up alongside. Now, we did speak to Ken Latta, I'm sure, just a couple of weeks ago about practicing some burnouts. It looks like he hasn't done enough to want to try anything on just for the moment. Very, very close finish there for Oosterwal and Damon Fisher, really right alongside each other at the line. G'day, Zoe. Good to have you in the chat, my friend. Just a bit of support and love for Sean as well. And look, some big finishes right throughout. Jason Bentz, I'm not sure if he'll be aware of the penalty that awaits Ken Latta, but we'll certainly look to bring him up to speed as the rest of these drivers come home. KFLO had a bit of a race to forget as well tonight. Not the only one by any stretch of the imagination.
No, definitely not.
But that is the end of 40 laps here at Mexico. And I'll tell you what, an eventful one, absolutely. This is how it looks at the end of that one. Ken Latta comes home ahead of Jason Bentz and Dean Logsdale on track. With a 5-second penalty, though, he will drop to 3rd place. Sean Vandermeulen comes home in 4th ahead of Ryan Palmer. Then Wayne Walker and Luke Allman ahead of Vargs and Vanderkraan. Chad Vigar sneaks into the top 10 as well. Then Mark Point and Joel Oosterwal just outside it, with Damon Fisher and Andrew Rushworth a bit further back. Jamie Dyke, to his credit, finishing in 15th after the huge incident early on that put him into the wall. So despite us getting the what's the word I'm looking for, the pit stops a bit out of whack, it's actually ended up pretty well for him, all things considered. It's not the worst it could have been for Jamie Dyke, for sure. G'day, Super Crusher. Thank you so much. Look, we try to catch everyone crossing the line. We try to catch everything as we get 30 odd cars stream across there. Sometimes we'll sit and watch them come across. Other times we will unfortunately just try and jump around a bit and catch some of the very late battles going on. It's always a bit of a tough call as to which we try and take in, but feedback always a gift. Thank you so much for being on with us here tonight, as we go now to have a bit of a chat to some of these drivers as they come through. And I think we might start tonight with the 2nd place on track. Jason Bentz, welcome to the booth, my friend.
Yeah, cheers, mate. How's it going?
Look, doing pretty well. What a race, hey? A first lap to forget for a lot of drivers. You seem to have come off pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, the crash test dummy helmet still doesn't seem to be helping me, but at least we got away with it tonight.
And mate,
I just haven't looked at what happened at the start either. So.
Look, I can tell you from a couple of reviews that we did that it was just a case of Wayne Walker ending up with his nose in between, I think it was Jamie Dyke and maybe someone else in there as well, and chaos.
I think I was in there somewhere.
I was going to say that might have been something to do with it, but absolute chaos. As it stands, though, I'm not sure if anyone's told you on the team chat as well, but it looks like you'll be kicking up the win post penalties here tonight, with Ken Latta unfortunately holding on to a 5-second pit lane breach. So, mate, a bit of a congratulations in order for taking out the top spot after penalties here tonight in race 2.
Yeah, I had the penalty over comms from race control, so I figured if I just held on to him, he had the early pace, but I think I sort of pulled a little bit back at the end of near the end of that stint, which I did in the first stint as well.
Yeah, and that late pace making all the difference. Talk to us about how the drive actually was here. Obviously, a pretty high altitude track. It does really impact on the performance of the car. How did you find it out there?
Can't really comment about how the track drives until they fix the off tracks, because that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of available track here to use, isn't there?
Yeah, it depends how good a run you get through every corner and how much you want to commit towards that, the tyre bundles, and yeah, each corner flows onto each corner, and I didn't figure out the fast way yet, but...
Well, mate, look, fast enough tonight, that's for sure. Massive congratulations on the win. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to before we let you go back to the team and have a chat and debrief on that one?
Just shout out to all the Quantum boys and the boys at XCM. Not that they'll be listening, but yeah, shout out to Quantum Tint Solutions, the sponsors of the series as well. Remind me what that is, but thanks to them too.
Solar Guard, Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive. You've got, of course, Nicol Photography.
Thanks to all of those guys.
All of them. No, always.
And yourself bring the broadcast each week, so.
Mate, thanks for putting on a show tonight. It has been an absolute, I say this too often, but it really has been a cracker of a race tonight, and great from our perspective to watch. Certainly plenty of battles right throughout, so we'll let you go and enjoy that one. Mate, congratulations once again on the results.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Jason Bentz there, coming home in second on track, but he will move up into first place post-penalty. We go now to Dean Logsdale. Dean, welcome back to the booth, mate. It seems like you're making it a bit of a habit to drop in on us.
Yeah, cheers, guys. I've spent all week practicing my celebration donuts and burnouts, and I didn't get to use it this week though.
Look, the good news is that you've managed to pull back a bit of time there at the end, and it's put you in a position where you will actually move up to second in points once it's all tallied post penalties. So a pretty decent result all the same.
Yeah. So I hadn't even looked at what happened in the at the start. It was a shame.
Oh, that was a mess for sure.
It was. Yeah, I weren't sure. I thought it might have been netco because I was just going, in a straight line and bang, it was all over. But yeah, so I just pushed and tried not to make any mistakes, and once I see that Ken done his normal, and just don't care about the old line in the pits and got the penalty, I just had to try and make sure that I was within 5 seconds of him and keep pushing. So it was good fun though. I quite enjoy this track. I like new tracks, getting to learn them, so it's good.
Yeah, and look, we heard from Jason just a little bit earlier about the interesting off-track sections that you're able to take here. How do you find that tonight? It can be really disconcerting as a driver to not really be necessarily limited to the in-between of the two white lines, and allows you to explore some pretty interesting lines. But do you find it, I guess, a little hard to keep track of just where you can go all the way to the wall?
To be honest with you, it's the same as any other track. Once you've found out where your limits are, then that's what you do in your practice for. So sort of 50 laps, you know where you're at. So yeah, once you know where your off tracks are, you just stay away from them, or push to the limit, but try and stay away.
Well, mate, you've made the absolute most of it tonight. Congratulations on the result. A very, very solid drive in amongst some pretty challenging moments in race 2 particularly. We're going to go and take a look at the provisional points. We'll let you get back to the team, hey?
All right, thanks guys. Just shout out to the 9-5 boys and a top drive from Sean from last to fourth, and Craig there. He's not doing too many practice laps in the V8, and shout out to the sponsors as well, and you guys.
Nice one. Thanks, Dean. Always a pleasure to have you in the booth, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Ben Logsdale there will come home with second after points are all done and dusted. Now, though, let's take a little bit of a look at what this might mean for the overall championship standings. And look, I find it really hard to believe, but it looks as though actually an extension of Wayne Walker's lead purely on the race 1 results. You couldn't predict it, Isaac.
No, absolutely not. This was not something I think I could come into tonight and say, yep, this is what's going to happen tonight, and this is how we're going to walk away from this. So, I think it's been an up and down night for everybody. Really, the major changes here. Jason Bennett's up 1 spot, and Matt Van der Kroon and Dean Logsdale do a little bit of a swap there. The lead for Wayne Walker, still over 100 points, so he's still relatively comfortable. I wouldn't say relatively comfortable, but he still has an over 100-point lead out in front over Dean Logsdale. And I think, Matt Van der Kroon, he has a little bit of work to do to try and get back up in front of Dean Logsdale with only 3 rounds to go in this championship. So we're getting towards crunch time, really. And Ken Latta up 3 spots after that third place tonight. Ryan Palmer also jumped up a couple. So we're starting to see some strong performances towards the end of this season. Some big names starting to struggle, and some guys are really starting to put in the work to try and be consistent and get themselves back up towards toward the pointy end. Even when they make mistakes, like Dean Logsdale, that incident, those points were crucial because they got him into second place.
Absolutely spot on. And look, still plenty to go. There's still, of course, drop rounds to be recalculated. So make sure you do check back in, folks, for next week's round 8 as we continue towards deciding the champion here in the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship. Season 6 is rapidly getting towards a bit of a decision point as to who's going to walk away with it. Will Wayne Walker defend his title, or will someone else snatch it at the death? I think it's going to go probably all the way to the final race before we're absolutely certain of it. As always, another fantastic night of racing here, but that will wrap up round 7 at the beautiful circuit that is Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez. What a night of racing. Honestly, this circuit, despite being a new one, it never disappoints every time I've seen it. And the battles we've seen right throughout the field tonight, just really showing how high the bar has actually been set this season with the group of drivers we've got here. As we start to head into those final stages, though, every single point is going to become more valuable, and that's what's going to decide who will come out on top in just a few weeks' time. A massive thank you once again, of course, to Solagard Saint-Gobain for their support this season, as well as the other sponsors that we do have on board: Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, Nicol Photography, and of course 24/7 Sim Services, kept very, very busy in race control tonight, despite not a huge amount of safety car action. There was plenty of action on track for them to work on through. We will see you next week for round 8 as the fight for the title continues. Of course, plenty more racing action between now and then over on the Simple Racing Broadcast channel. If you need to get your fix, then do make sure you pop on across. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all along with us for another great night of racing. Looking forward to welcoming you back next time around, whenever that might be. From all of us here at Simple Racing Broadcast, it is goodbye for now.